It only took 25 episodes to succumb to the narcissism of featuring my own band on the podcast. That might be really good or really bad depending on how you score it. So in my efforts to defend my intentions, let me explain. I sincerely want to hold as true to the original intent of the podcast in every episode, to engage in meaningful conversation with artists and bands and music professionals about their experiences, believing that inspiration and education lie between the stories and confessions and laughs. And I want to continue to find new ways to tell those stories. I just couldn't deny that a lot of my own relevance comes from the time spent in the wheat pool. It's never just my story. It's our story. It's our experience. And having gone through the cycle of this supposed birth to life to death of a band, I just can't help but think that this is art shared by so many. The context is still ours, but I just think it has meaning for many. And I wanted everyone to see us for who we were and are, because nothing has changed about us. Maybe that's what I'm most proud of, just belonging. Nothing else in my 25 years of musical pursuits has validated or satisfied me the way that those 7 years did. And I hope this becomes a glimpse as to why, and helps you reflect on your pursuits. Why do you do them? Or mostly, who do you do them with? What will last? Where is the actual meaning in it? What is the cautionary tale? In music or any part of life, what will following your passion produce in your life? I found a band of brothers, some by blood, the rest of us by spirit. Did we ever really break up? Our belief in the cause wavered. We ceased operations. But the four of us remained locked in a shared identity. Time can't even break it up. You tell me. The wheat pool was brothers Robb and Mike Angus, Stephane Dagenais, and myself. Indie alt country, the new Canadiana from 2005 to 2012, touring back and forth across Canada, producing 2 albums, Township and Ontario, and an EP, Behind the Stars. Songs built for Canadian highways and the distances between the places and people we love. My name is Glen Erickson. This is Almost Famous Enough. Thanks for spending your time with us. This is it. This is the wheat pool. Rob used one of his 3 jokes already before we hit record.
No, he's got
3
it.
jokes. Oh, buddy,
He's
I've
got
been
several.
I've been tucking away nuggets.
All right,
I've been
fellas.
tucking away nuggets. Are we loud enough?
Yeah, you'll be
Yes.
loud enough. I'll try to be a
Just
little
need
less
to
loud and
come
sit
in here
back
when
and-
I'm answering my questions. Just talk like this.
We need more up nose. We need more up nose though when you do
Actually-
I
that.
get
Actually, fogging
get-
the mic, the camera as you're like.
I'll get like 3 tracks afterwards. I can boost your signal,
Okay.
blah, blah, blah.
I sent an additional question I forgot to send originally.
Oh, well, it's too
I-
late for me, so you'll have to pop it in when you want to pop it in.
Okay. I don't. I assumed we weren't gonna get to all of them.
No, well, not all the ones your sister sent, but
Yeah.
I
There's a
got
lot.
a good run through to get
Okay.
through. But
I just assumed you would pick the good ones.
well, I don't know. If you think I didn't, you can call an audible. I don't care. Okay, so when's the last time we were all hanging out in a room? Because right now we're not all in a room, but virtually. But when was the last time?
That must have been Rob's birthday.
I have a photo
last year.
at Sea Change.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is that it?
Rob's
think so.
birthday or a wing night. When I was
maybe the next
drifting out town. It's been a while.
You guys
I don't know if
having
we did
wings
that.
without me?
Shh. Way to go, Rob. No, I don't think
That's
so.
fine.
No, I assumed
was
it was all
was
4
it
of us, is
Tebble?
what I mean.
Was it Tebble? Was it Tebble? Was it Tebble who's there? Was it Tebble?
No, he doesn't like people enough.
The replacement drummer.
Elliot doesn't.
Okay. It's because
Segue.
Tebo liked Patton Oswalt so much. He came on that road trip with us to listen to Patton Oswalt all the way to Manitoba and back.
To play inside of the grain elevator.
The worst guy to take to a grain elevator, actually. Wheezy Beats. And we took him to a...
We drove him 10 hours out of town to kill him. I forgot about that. Whoops.
It's just wheat dust in everybody's lungs for the entire day and a half we were there. Oh my goodness. Okay, well then when is the last time we played together? Was it the King Eddie? Was it the King Eddie gig during COVID?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I think so. I think it was
3 years ago. 3 years ago. Yeah, I forgot. I was gonna say because we did two. Did we did two reunion shows at? Is that King Ed? Yeah, at the Needle. Yeah. And then we did one in Calgary, right?
Well, no, we did the first reunion show in 2017, and they were called two different things, so I don't remember which one it was the first time. Whether it was
one was a 10-year anniversary from Ontario, and then one was So in 2019 we did the 10-year anniversary of Ontario there, and then we also went out to Camrose, remember, and played. I got them in Camrose, and that was January 2020, so that's like just before the world shut down by a couple months. And then we had plans. The beautiful Bailey Theater.
Beautiful Bailey Theater in Camrose, and the wonderful Roots, Rose City Roots Society. But I remember we were trying to play King Eddie, and things opened back up, and I remember we got to play, and Ryan Langlois opened for us, and my recollection is that's the last gig.
That is, yeah.
Last gig of the week pool. Okay. Well, we established that. Let me ask the question then. If that's the last time we played together, in as quick, high level TLDR as we can, what's everybody been up to for the last 4 years? I'm going to start on my left with Stewie D. Stephane. Introduce yourself. What do you play in the band, Stewie?
I pretend to play drums in the wheat pool. No, that's what I do. And and I currently just ride my bike a lot. And
you a paper road?
oh yeah. And it's basically a grind to the finish line.
You're in Canmore now, right?
Yeah, we're in Canmore now. Again.
You are employed. You're not a retired indie drummer. I don't think there is such a thing. So
no,
okay,
I'm not a retired indie drummer. I fucking wish.
Well, that's the sweet life we think down there. That like anytime we've come down, visited, it's pretty beautiful. So
yeah, it's great. I hope to just be able to keep doing it.
Okay, how about Robbo? You're next. What have you been up to for the last 4 years?
So I went back to school 3 years ago, graduate school, and I'm finishing my master's, so I'm a therapist now. Well, I'll be a therapist in 2 months, 3 months.
Wow.
Which was a real kind of left turn for me. So I've been in school, I've been working part-time, been playing, since about, 2012, 2014, was also playing with my other band, the Dungarees. So, was doing that for a long time, but that's quieter now. So, just kind of focusing on schooling and the career. I moved down to Calgary in May of 23.
Okay.
So I've been in Calgary 2.5 years now.
Yeah.
But I've never gone to Canmore to see Steph. No.
It's just
nor does he come to Calgary to see me.
We're an hour away from each other, man. Like, what the hell's going on? What's wrong with us?
There you go.
Yeah, we couldn't even meet at the Petro Can at the Cochrane turnoff.
Totally, any day.
Yeah, man, that's the perfect spot. Do you consider yourself a Calgarian now?
No.
2.5 years? Okay.
No. Whew.
2.5.
Mike had to. I would have asked Mike to throw hands. That's the way it goes.
Although when I did go back to Edmonton, which is like every 6 or 8 weeks, our parents are still in Sherwood Park. I'm always shocked how much it's changed, like how much new stuff is going up, which, Glenn, to you, that probably sounds strange because you see it every day, but
yeah, frog in a kettle here. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm always surprised how different it's getting. Just new buildings, new businesses, new neighborhoods and developments. So
Glenn now lives in the inner city of Edmonton.
Yeah, I used to call it the airport parking lot. Now I'm in the slums.
No.
You went from Bonnie Doon to the south side, and you're right back, basically, where you started.
I'm back in the hood of Bonnie Doon, basically. It's kind of
South
true.
Bonnie Doon. We call it South Bonnie Doon.
South Bonnie
totally.
Doon.
All right.
I call it North Airdrie. North Leduc.
That's awesome.
Both cities are growing so much.
Well, I mean, that is a big left turn of a career, from slinging tools and from Milwaukee all those years and all those other things. And you had your degree to be a teacher at the start, right? Like that's you were going in your education degree way back when.
I have my ed degree from the early 2000s.
Yeah, and rock and roll, of course, trampled all over that, which
of course,
thank God. So
as it should.
Good.
Yeah,
as it should. How about you, Mike? You had some adventures.
Yeah, I spent the last 2 years training to become a winemaker in Italy. So I got my master's degree in that. And then this past year, I've been living out in British Columbia, working in the wine industry in the Okanagan. So that's just wrapping up now. So it's nice to come back to Calgary, hang out on a couch with this guy.
So it's wrapping up. So you gotta move on to something else.
Yeah, the growing season's over, so everything slows down quite a bit.
Yeah.
It's pretty typical for people to just take the next 3 months off, and then February it kind of ramps back up. So
good old seasonal work.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. All right, cool, guys.
How about you?
Maybe
what
people on
about
here
you?
would know what I've been doing, but I've had
this podcast has been great.
Yeah, the podcast is the new thing. Otherwise, I've always been working in the digital design development space, and I've kind of I tricked some people into making me a manager, a boss in all of this, which is actually really nice. But the podcast has been podcast has been a lot of fun. I felt like I just needed to do something with everything. I mean, you guys all know I kind of kept dipping my foot in every part of the business besides just wanting to play.
I was hoping you were going to say your beak.
Oh, no, my beak. Shit. I missed it. I missed the prompt. Anyhow, it's a fun way to sort of pull all that stuff back up and sort of just kind of, you know, when you're in a conversation, I often think about this like in a booth at Next Act is where I picture it. But, you're in a conversation and you're really just tossing a combination of like experiences or stories with ideas back and forth with somebody that you really like talking to. And it feels like it's pulling things out of you that you maybe hadn't even thought all the way through, but now you're articulating them. And I find that kind of thing happen here a lot. That's what I wanted to happen. So it's been a lot of fun. Absolutely.
Awesome. Is Lexi going to do an epilogue of this and talk about what she thought was interesting?
100%. 100% she is, yeah. She's really excited. In fact, we recorded an epilogue last night for a recording, a post-fame as we call it, and she caught me by surprise by trying to Easter egg this whole thing and was like, "Are you so excited?" And then I had a moment where I'm like, "What am I?" And then she goes, and then, "Oh, okay." And then she's like, on a scale of 1 to 23, because that's her favorite number. How
you
excited
had to break it to her.
you?
You were not excited at all.
No, I told her I'm at 21, and then she was shocked. And then she's like, "What would a 23 be?" And I'm like, "Well, if we were all in the same room together, it would be a home run 23." But we're not.
It'd be like that show where they just eat hot wings and see how hot it can get.
Yeah. Are you not on social
ones.
media anymore, Mike? I just posted about Da Bomb.
Yeah. I saw that. I just don't react anymore. Did you? And I messaged you about it. Did you respond?
Yeah, you did. You said I should like make a segment in the podcast about
do a Hot Ones episode on the
Hot Ones.
podcast.
Because I've got
That's our call.
We ordered kale Da Bomb, and yeah, I'll
My
tell
nose is
you right
running
now.
already just talking about it.
It sets
wing
your
cool.
mouth off in 0 - 1 second. Like it's yeah, it does
Can
a
a
number on
person's
you
nose
right away.
have a Pavlovian response to talking about hot food? That is what I'm
Apparently.
experiencing.
Is that what's happening?
Apparently.
Apparently. Okay, guys. So what I wanted to do is I thought, and I appreciate, by the way, all of your willingness to do this, because everybody who's been listening to every episode is probably tired of me always saying like, yeah, when I was in a band, and then trying to be relevant with it. And I thought it would just be an interesting experiment for people who know a band that has broken up, but maybe don't hear them come back a long time later and talk about what the whole experience was, even to draw an arc through it, of like, why did you choose to get together? What did you feel was working? What was happening during the time? Why did you choose to end? And we asked people on social media for questions, and we got a handful of questions, and I thought I would mostly pepper them in the places that I think they make sense as we're talking. And then if I've missed some, we'll just maybe do a rapid fire session, which of course will be great for the social media reels.
Yeah,
but
totally.
If that's all right, I thought maybe we would just go back to the start and talk about how this whole thing came together in 2005. How the Wheat Pool came together. I remember we get asked about the name all the time. When we'd stop into college radio stations in Ontario, and we'd always have to start explaining the name, and then we'd have to start talking about what it's like to be landlocked out in the prairies and, all that stuff. But I don't know who wants to start. I know Mike and Rob, you guys were the ones, deciding to get this thing rolling. Yeah. So how did it all begin?
I remember my previous band, we had played a handful of shows together. Stephane was the drummer in a band called Turbinato. And the front man decided to move to Toronto, our good friend Chris Denton. And so we played our last show, and then a couple of months later, I was couch surfing at Robb's place around Christmas time of 2004. And we got invited to do like a New Year's Eve show or something like that at O'Byrne's. And Chris, Steph, and I think you were.
Oh, really?
Okay, because
keep going. I'm sorry I interrupted.
Yeah. So anyway, because and then afterwards, like you and I were kind of talking, and you were like, we should just start a band with the songs that we have, because you had a handful of songs, and I had a handful of songs, and so we just quickly retooled, and then we were like, well, who's going to play guitar, because we have this spot that we really need to explore. And you knew of Glen through...
Yeah, I was working at O'Byrne's Irish Pub on White Ave at that time. And I'd seen Glen play, I think it was 2 separate times. Once with Dion Blyan, and once with, back then, a group called Fosters and McGarvey, who we now know as F&M.
Yeah. F&M.
But I'd seen Glen play, and I loved Glen's playing. I thought, like, I always kind of felt like we needed like a Neil Young kind of gritty, louder guitar for what I envisioned the band being. And I remember sitting in my bedroom. I was living in a small, dumpy 2-bedroom apartment just off White with Adam Colligan. And I remember emailing you, Glen, and I sent you, I think I had maybe like 3 or 4 MP3s of Mike and I's songs. I said, hey man, like, I thought you were great the other night. We're trying to get a project going. I think you're a great fit. Listen to these tunes and tell me what you think. And yeah, like pretty quickly you got back and you're like, yeah, these are good. I'm interested. Let's get together. So that was the introduction to Glen.
I remember coming to the pub after that invitation, and you handed me actually a CD of 5 songs, I think.
Okay.
And I remember going home and listening to them all, and you gave them to me because I had agreed, and we were like, let's just go jam and see what the fit was, for sure. And yeah, like if like based on like what you said there, like the fortuitous part to me was that like playing with the 2 people that you said I was playing with, because I was just a hired hand for people. Although I think Ryan and Becky considered me their guitar player and maybe didn't forgive you guys for quote unquote stealing me, even though
Totally.
I don't think I ever got paid for a gig with them, so I don't think it counts as being part of
Dion
the
wasn't
band.
excited about it either. Let's just put it out.
But those 2 gave me the opportunity. They said I got to play whatever I wanted, and I was in this phase, like you say, Neil Young and all that, and I wasn't even listening to Neil Young and all that. I was listening to Wilco to death. And
I remember when you told me that, I thought you were fucking lying. I'm like, this fucking guy's fucking lying.
But I was taken. I was just taken by. I was all over the. I just wanted the tube amp to do all the work. I grew up trying to make all these compressed heavy metal sounds and delays and all this stuff, and I was going through a phase that now when I look back is pretty fortuitous, that's what I was exploring a lot, literally at the time that you were just hanging around. Oh, and to cap that story, by the way, you gave me the 5-song CD. I went home after and I learned them, and then we went, and I think our first rehearsal was at your parents' church, which we always got to explore the space and use the sound system there. And
explore the sanctuary space.
Listen, a free rehearsal space is incredible. What a gift. So,
I'm trying to remember.
But I remember the first.
Hey,
what?
we tied into that.
Go ahead. Sorry.
Oh yeah, you tied into that. Yeah, your parents paid for that rehearsal space with their. Yeah, I get it. With their 10%. So, well, I just went home after the first practice, and Arlene was like, "So what do you think?" And I'm like, "Well, the songs, I really like the songs, and the brothers are really handsome, so I think this thing has a shot." I had already figured out the business by that point, but that was kind of my first take. But I don't think I even asked you how Steph got in the band for like probably a year after. It took me a long time. I was like, how did you guys even know each other? But
do you remember what the 5 songs were? Like, I'm trying to remember right now. It would have definitely been Neil Young.
Geographic Americana was on there. Neil Young was on there. FBD was on there.
FBD.
Traces of You. And I can't remember what
Emily
the 5th
Carr?
one is.
Maybe
it's Emily Carr, because I think that was around from the start.
Yeah, that's half the first album.
Yeah. Right out of the gate.
Yeah.
And Stewie, you just got the invitation from, like, you two just always knew when you were going to do this. You're like, Steph will just do it for us.
Yeah, I kind of assumed I was going along. I think I invited myself, actually.
You guys aren't doing this without me, are you?
Steph, can you just, I'm so bad with like timelines and stuff like that. Can you remind me, like, when did you and Michelle get married?
2007.
Okay, so it would have been.
We were together then.
We were together. Yeah, we were together for a couple of years already.
Okay, gotcha. So we met
the only reason in 2001.
Yeah. Oh, okay, right. Yeah.
So while I'm pretty sure that it was in the sort of beginning of Turbinado that we actually jammed at the house in Mill Creek one time.
Yeah, in the basement.
Like Dan Holden, Chris, you and I in the basement of that house.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Michelle made us chili.
I was just gonna say, I remember Mike came home from that rehearsal. He's like, "Yeah, Michelle brought us down beers. She made us chili." And that's why you were in the band with the Wheat Pool, Steph, because your wife was like, "Oh, she brings beer and chili to the rehearsals."
That makes sense now. Yeah.
It was never about you.
one of my first memories, because when you get adopted to a band, especially with guys I don't have a history with, right? I have to start adapting to a new social environment.
Yeah.
And you guys, one of the first things we did was go back to Steph and Michelle's after a rehearsal. I think was one of the first times I went back to someone's house or did a hangout and all that kind of stuff, which is pretty great.
Glenn,
I think it's interesting.
So young when we first started.
We only had one kid when we started.
Yeah, Lexi was in the womb when we started. Like, we started in March of 2005, and Lexi was born in August. So,
wow.
So yeah, I only had one kid. So Lexi's younger
She's
than
20
the
now.
wheat pool.
So when
crazy.
when your boy was born, were you like, this kid has no podcast potential, we need to have another one so I can have a co-host? was that the, or is he too cool?
The first one was supposed to be a hockey player, and the second one was supposed to be an artist. So
you're doing well.
I don't know how that plan's going. Not so great, but that's okay. I like what I have. I'm all right with it.
Yeah, they're super.
That makes you sound like you're estranged, that you and your children are estranged.
Yeah, which is not the case at all.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people make a lot of assumptions about a band that has brothers in it, and not just the cliche Oasis-y ones. But you guys hadn't played in any band prior to doing that together?
We grew up going to church, and we played in like the worship group at church. So I played the drums and Mike played the bass Sunday mornings. Beyond that, we didn't really, I mean, we jammed together.
Which may sound weird, but I think a lot of people would be surprised to find out how many musicians actually get their start in.
Oh yeah, what a great breeding ground. Right? Yeah,
like
I totally did.
If I had to guess, I would say Justin Vernon did. I get the feeling Dan Mangan did, but I can't be sure.
His mom's an Anglican priest. He grew up in the church. Yeah.
There you go.
So the vibe
there
is
you go.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's a great musical
I think Anglican
education.
or United. I might have said that wrong.
That makes so much sense. Later. Okay, great.
No, I agree. I mean,
ask Jamie to check it for you.
Yeah, I'll do it. I mean, if you watch, like, it's a pretty strong cliche on like the big name American Idols, right? Like how many of them show up and they all like, they have their little thing underneath and it's like a worship leader. It's like 50% of them have worship leader in the States underneath their tag when they're trying out for the singing competitions.
It's a great musical education because you're doing it every
really
week.
is.
You're showing up on time. You're rehearsing. You're
every
sober.
Week.
Learning. You're sober. Yeah. You're learning how to harmonize. You're learning
and
how to
honestly,
play with.
Probably one of my favorite things, because you guys know I worked with teenagers when I was in the church too, and getting to like have kids who are in that sort of embryonic stage of like playing in a band with other people rather than just in their bedroom or basement, and bringing them out of that and sort of, and then watching them go off and form bands and do all that kind of stuff was probably one of the most fun things I got to do through that phase. So you guys got to play together, and then it's like here's the other thing about our band is we didn't form like the typical like in your early 20s or mid 20s.
No.
I was mid 30s, and I think am I older than you, Stephane, by a few months? Is that the way it goes, or is it the other way around?
No, you're officially band dad.
The oldest guy? Okay, I'm officially band dad. Even though you drove the van way more than me and complained about anybody else and the speed they were going when they drove.
And put Greg Rose in his place at least once.
That's still one of my favorite stories.
That is. Somebody tell the Greg Rose story really quick on the road.
Yeah, this needs a little setting up, but when we were on tour, it didn't matter where we were, it was almost impossible for us to drive past a Tim Hortons without stopping the van, which infuriated me because I never drank coffee back then. But Mike and Steph drank a lot of coffee. So we were trying to get out of Vancouver to get to the ferry terminal, right? Yeah. Which is always stressful because if you miss it, then you're waiting and waiting and waiting. Greg Rose, a dear friend of all of ours, happened to be on tour with us because he was visiting family out in BC. And in typical band fashion, we were running late to get to the ferry, and like Stephane hadn't had his morning coffee, which is a big part of his, if you know Stephane at all, that's the only part of his day that he cares about.
And he slept on the floor in the hotel. And Greg slept in the bed.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Oh, what? Oh, really? I don't remember that part.
Right.
I remember because Steph was smart enough to pack like his hiking camping mat, like those thin little like styrofoam things that people can.
How did that happen?
Is a good idea to sleep on. Anyway, he brought it, and so he's like, "No problem, guys. Rosie, you sleep in the bed. I don't mind sleeping on the floor."
Hilarious.
Yeah.
Camping mat.
We were late to get to the ferry.
Slept horribly.
No coffee. First thing in the morning. Steph had somehow made a wrong turn. This was before iPhones and GPS. And Greg, in the back of the band van, shouted something to the effect of, "Hey, Magellan, do you think you have it figured out?" Like the freeloader on tour being the yappiest guy. And I don't think I've seen more steam come out of Stephane's ears in my life. And there was a tirade that came past me to the back of the van towards Greg. And then I feel like it was pretty quiet the rest of the drive until we got to the...
He was pouting for a while. He was definitely pouting for a while. It was like, I guess that worked.
Did he stay with us all the way to Penticton? Because Penticton came after Victoria. He
came all the way back to Calgary with us.
Okay, yeah. Well, I mean, what a that just speaks to the grace of Stephane to not kill him and allow him to stay in that van for a number of more days.
Push him
the rest
off
of
a
the
ferry.
tour. But I mean, Rosie was a pretty funny, outspoken guy, but that was he didn't pick the right moment there. That's for sure.
Yeah, I mean you
got to read the room.
That's a pretty good element to. I think a lot of people would be interested to know about sort of the behind the scenes of touring bands. Is that it's good to have someone who's not in the band there for either comedic relief or a buffer or to break up sort of, because when there's 3 or 4 people in a band, you can get in these stalemates quite quickly. But stupid little things like where are we going to eat?
Yeah.
You know? And those little day-to-day things that kind of like add up over weeks when you're on tour. So to have someone who's as funny and wonderful as Greg, was just a great guy to have to sort of like drop that ace into the van just to keep things light, because when 4 guys are stinking and farting for weeks at a time in a van and dealing with business and missing their families and missing first birthdays and first hockey games and stuff like that. It's good to have like a friend who can just keep it light.
All the years that we were together, I legitimately can't think of any time that any of us were fighting. There was times where I can think of a few times where Mike and I butted heads, but like the 2 times I can think of it, like that was in the studio.
Yeah.
And that's not to say we didn't have differences. That probably just means we just pushed it all the way down and then poured alcohol over top of it when we were angry, but I don't remember us ever having fights ever.
No, it was usually pretty like a group of good friends on a road trip. That's what it felt like. And not, being shitty with each other. I think sometimes people just, when they get fed up, they start to purposely get shitty.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, okay, totally. I can't get away from this, but I'm going to make your life as miserable as you're making mine.
Yeah. Here's an idea. Let's put 4 prima donnas in a van for days at a time, and then starve them and not pay them enough. And then sleep on floors. And
I mean, it's not to say there weren't things we didn't like. I know there were things I didn't like that were going on, or you know what I mean? Or I'm not. Don't worry, I'm not thinking of anything specific. But I just know
you're thinking about something specific.
I want to tell a specific
it feels
story
like you're thinking
now.
about several things very specific.
Steph's line.
There are just times that you're like, whatever. But like anything. Because I was married, so I'd go home, and then my wife would say, like, how did it go, or what, blah, blah, blah. And then you'd start maybe telling some stories, and then they're only seeing your side of the coin, and she's asking, like, well, why don't you? And then for me, the answer was always like, you know what I mean? Like, this is what you do in a band. It's like none of it seemed worth making a big deal about. I don't need to rock the boat. Like, we all were on the same page all the time on what we were doing and what we were there for. Like, that never seemed to waver. Nothing felt important enough to disrupt that kind of a balance that I thought would be had.
Yeah, that's so true. And I mean, I don't mind saying, like, looking back, there's certainly things I would have done differently. I mean, it was like a total maturity thing for me. Like, truth of the matter, I was drinking for two back then, which was fun for me, but maybe not so fun for you guys. And like, that was, of the issues we probably ever had, that was probably 50% of the time, that was probably it. So I do Rob, I have regret over that.
I'm going to say, because I don't know if this is true, and I guess this is what a instance of a live podcast could do. Mm-hmm. My interpretation was that you were doing things in your own time, and nobody else could really sort of hurry you up or slow you down or make you do what you wanted to do. And I guess looking back, I wonder if that's related to what you're saying, because everything I know about you now isn't that guy. Do you know what I mean? Like, you're extremely organized, articulate, you like to be prepared, you do all this kind of stuff, and the early personality you had was for sure not the same. And I never ever actually connected the dots to drinking. I do remember having to go try and drag you out of a couple of bars so that we could go and do a sound check somewhere a couple of times, but
I'm still mad about that.
But it's all good.
You join a rock band for a reason. I mean, Fairfax, is that what it was called?
Oh my God, Ottawa.
I don't understand the reference. I don't even get the reference.
Oh my God. You guys, okay, if we're gonna talk about band conflict, you guys have never shit on me more than at breakfast the next day.
I think that was another one of my classic blow-up.
It was, 100%.
The second time I've seen
what was it? I loved
angry.
playing.
That was a bad one.
Yeah.
That was a bad breed.
Beeble Rocks, whatever that was called, that classic old bar in Ottawa.
Yeah, Zaphod Beeble Rocks.
Yeah, Zaphod's Beeble Rocks.
Rolls off the tongue beautifully.
Yeah, I loved playing it. The owner was great.
Yep.
Right next door to a strip club called Bear Fax. It was spelled fax like the machine. Apparently, they have a really good brunch on Sunday mornings after we played on a Saturday night. But when we
featured adult content during the week.
So everybody understands what the problem was. Is like we played we hung out there right till closing. So it's like 2 a.m. typical. But as a band,
at the music
this is
venue.
Another thing people would love to know. You show up at 5 o'clock to load in and do sound check, and then so you get great parking before all the nightlife starts to happen. So I was parked right in front of the venue, right? And at 2 a.m. we spill out, and there was lights, and the cop cars were there, and they had their knee on some guy's head, and it was a huge dude on our van. Like, his knee was on the guy's head on the van. That's an exaggeration.
I must have still been in the bar. I don't remember this.
He was just pinning him down, and I took pictures and I put them on social media. This was the early days of social media too. This is probably 2010, and all of your partners saw that, and all they saw was Bear Fax. They didn't see anything else.
Gentlemen's club, beside the club we were playing.
The Gentlemen's Club beside the place we were playing, and apparently. You all heard about it, so the next morning at breakfast, I definitely heard about it. Yeah, but it is what it is.
I would never go in a place like that. I would never.
So we talked about
lesson in framing a shot, my friend.
Oh yeah,
that is a lesson in framing a shot.
So true.
Glenn, you crawled so later generations could run.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly what it is, and yeah.
Did we answer?
We talked about the songs that we started with, which were all part of our first record, right? Township, and we ended up, of course, filling out a whole record for that one, and we released that 2 years into our 2+ years into our existence, 2007, fall of 2007, and then as far as like our musical development, like. I think one thing I'd love to hear you guys talk about is I mean, that's a typical path for any band, whether you join in your 20s or not, is that you kind of show up with a few of your greatest hits that you've had around for a while and you start a new band so that you have some material coming in. And that material really drove that first record, which got a lot of good response, I thought. But then we kind of had to move on to a second record. And I'm wondering, in your recollection, what was the developing of that first record like specifically? Like, you guys had all these songs that you worked on. It seemed like we decided to stick with this pattern of like you guys would split equal songs pretty much. Like, other than Geographic Center of Canada, which Mike wrote, but Robb sings on the Wheat Pool. The songwriter was the singer out of the two of you. I'm wondering for you guys how the writing of that, in your recollection, what did the writing of the rest of that record feel like? Did it feel like it was really easy after we got together?
On the first album, I'm trying to think about how many songs we needed to write for the first album. Phone Book, for me, was definitely one I wrote for the album.
Penny L.
Penny L.
Penny L.
Mike wrote. I think for me, that's the second album.
Yeah.
That's on Ontario.
That's Ontario.
But, yeah, like Really? Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, like there wasn't too much writing to do. Like when we got together as the four of us, there wasn't tons of writing to do. Probably only 2 or 3 songs, I bet. So, I mean, Ontario was totally different story. But I remember, like, Chris Winters, great friend of ours, and one of the producers on both those albums. I remember him kind of referring to the first album sort of as like the Angus Brothers' greatest hits. And that was pretty accurate. We had a handful of songs that we'd written, and we just kind of like plucked the ones that we thought were the best tunes. We already had them. Because we'd both been kind of writing for, I don't know, maybe 5 or 7 years alone in our bedrooms. And Mike and I also never wrote together. Like, you guys know, we would bring almost completed songs to rehearsal.
Yeah.
And I was thinking about that kind of because I re-listened to both albums this week, just in anticipation of us recording this. And there was only a couple of spots, like in a couple of my songs, where I asked Mike, I said, hey, will you write the lyrics in the bridge for this? Or will you write like the third verse for this? But outside of that, like, we never even had conversations saying, hey, do you want to write together? Hey, what do you think about co-writing? And it wasn't like, to me, it wasn't competitive, or it just was just kind of the way we did it.
It's funny too, because like, now that you say that, I can still sit back and listen to these songs, and I'll text Rob and be like, Phone Book is still so good. Like, without having any investment in the songwriting, I've always been like almost a spectator of it, even though I'm participating in the performance of it. I can always step back. It's easy for me to step back. And this is hard to do when you're a musician where you've written songs and you've recorded them, because it's almost like you'll only hear the mistakes for like a little while. You're too close to the project, right?
Yeah.
But then I think because we had that distance and that almost sterility between our songwriting overlap, I can still appreciate Robb's songs immediately as like a fan, who just gets to play bass guitar along with them, which is so great.
Oh, that's nice.
It's so nice to not, because like there's my own songs where I'm like, I wish I'd done this differently, and I wish this, then we can thing. And it just strikes me now that it's nice that that overlap. That's kind of one of the blessings that there's this renewal from it.
Yeah.
And to answer your first question, I mean, like, Township was, we had played these songs for 2 years as like these sprawling, long, instrumental driven road trip songs. That's kind of how we were imagining this record as being. And going into the studio, I remember James Murdoch and Chris Winters being like, we have to make these more concise just for the studio. You guys can play them as long as you want live, if that's your thing.
Demo,
which was great.
The demo of Neil Young that I gave them was over 7 minutes long. Totally absurd.
Yeah, I believe it.
So having to like chip away at it and edit, that was I remember that from the township recording sessions. I remember that being one of the hardest things for us. I think we had to do Emily Carr over 2 days. Like we had to leave it alone and come back to it because we were all getting so frustrated with it. And that's the first song we ever played together. We played it more than any other song. And it's funny to like have, you think we just bang it off in the studio. We played it 1,000 times. And they're like, no, we have to make it more concise. And suddenly it changes. And those are good decisions to make for the studio. And then going into Ontario, I think we knew how to be a more concise band with more readily accessible songs,
Yeah.
I guess. You know, we had better instincts.
That's a good point.
Okay, let's get to the heart of the song here.
I think, like, for me, I remember, like, because I remember some of the edits while you're recording, not after, in the studio for Township that I didn't like. I didn't like the edits on Peniel, like, because they truncated off, they faded out that ending. I didn't like the edits on Evergreen where they just sort of, like, we just cut some little pieces short. Emily Carr was kind of fun because we were sort of, we'd do a section of 4, but then the next time we'd only do a section of 2, and it felt clever. And it's kind of nice to be.
While we're trying to
it's nice to be clever,
yeah.
Make people do math. Yeah, but I didn't. It's funny that I didn't love those edits, but I agree with you that I carried that muscle memory into recording Ontario about how do you make a song a more gelled, compact version of a palatable tune for other people, not for us, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And for you to say you didn't care for it, and for me to say I brought in a 7-minute demo, is the exact reason you need a producer. You need someone who's not in the project, who didn't write the songs, who hasn't heard these songs, 185 times, and so they're like imprinted on your heart. And their goal was to narrow it so that we would succeed as best as we could. And I remember choices they made at the time I didn't like. And I remember the process of that first album, realizing the value of a producer. Why we brought them in for their outside perspective, and we brought them in for their experience, and we brought them in for the knowledge. And nobody wants to hear a 7-minute version of any song I've ever written in my life. So thank God they were there. And
7 minutes.
In re-listening to some of the songs this week, there's some edits and changes in the recordings that we never played them that way ever again.
Agreed.
Outside of the studio.
Yeah.
So live, we did do it how we wanted to do it. Maybe it wasn't the original way, but I really appreciate, Chris and James's vision and knowledge and experience.
Editing.
Yeah. And those two went to the wall for us with all of their contacts, their industry, pushing the band and helping us get our foot in the door. And so for me, because I'd never recorded before, I'd been in bands before, but I'd never recorded before that first album. I'd done a lot of 4-track stuff, like in my bedroom, or 4-track stuff with other previous bands, but just demo type of stuff. So, for me, that was totally necessary.
Yeah, we chose to use the same combo to go record Ontario, and now that's a whole new set of songs. So I guess one of my curiosities is if you guys can remember back, because I can remember pretty distinctly going into the Ontario sessions, what you were feeling about that, and if it was distinctly different than the previous recording session.
Oh, for me it was. Like, I'd never been in a situation where I needed to write for a timeline or a purpose or a deadline. Because I have the most unfortunate songwriting process, which is start a song, get excited about a song, work on a song for about a week, realize I hate the song, put the song away for 6 to 8 months, then go back through all the back catalog and be like, oh, that's actually not awful.
Okay, there's got to be something here somewhere.
And that's always kind of been my, going through voice memos or going through voice recordings or, lyrics and stuff. And so for me, the second album was very hard.
Well, like, people would maybe not know, because you already referenced that you would write complete songs and bring them to the band, pretty much, right? And I think people might not realize that, like, you hear a lot of stories about bands and they're like, yeah, you hear them talking pre-release to some radio guy and they're like, yeah, we had like 30 songs demoed for this and we had to narrow it down to 10 or some stupid thing. That was never the Wheat Pool. We literally, we rehearsed the songs that we played and we kept, and that was pretty much it. I can't even think of a song that we might have
There was one
tried.
tune of mine from the first album we didn't do, but we recorded it. But we really struggled. We really, really had a hard time with it.
Yeah.
I remember, I mean, speaking of the second round of songwriting, I remember telling somebody this, maybe you guys, or in an interview, where it was like, with the songs for Ontario, I can have 70% of the song done, and I trust bringing the songs to you guys that will finish up whatever's left. Whether it's structure, maybe we need to write another verse here, maybe this needs a bridge, maybe we need to move these spots or these parts of the song around. So I think for me, I remember it was, I don't know if I had a clear final idea. And you guys were always so great at listening to, like, I would come up with a template example for this is how I want the song to sound. You know, whether it sounds like this song from Wilco's Mermaid Avenue, for example. I want to have that feel to it as an example. And it would be 70% there, and by the end of, you know, a couple of practices, we would have it. So I feel like my songs were
that was the
so
difference.
much better coming out of the gate on that record than
Yeah.
yours. That it didn't need a whole lot of work. No, I'm just kidding.
I don't know how you felt, Stephane.
I just
but
trusted you guys a lot more to be like, okay, finish this for me.
I appreciated that. That to me was the distinct difference of the two records. Was the first record I was learning parts to a degree. Like I was trying to be true to things that you guys liked in the demos you had made, while also adding my own thing. But it wasn't really until the second record, and maybe I got excited because of songs like Peniel and Phone Book. I felt really represented how I wanted to play and things I wanted to try doing and experiment with. So going into a full fresh record of being able to do that was definitely really exciting for me. I remember that distinctly.
Yeah.
Stephane, was it like,
you know, I think the biggest difference between recording those two albums was the Township was the first recording in that type of environment that I had done. And the use and need for a click track was like shock to me. How different, like how in my head it made me feel.
Psychs you out so bad as a drummer.
Yeah, it really does. So I think I was more used to it for Ontario, but it was also, I always felt like I was I needed to rein it in and not try to like put a big, you know, animal like Muppet stamp on everything.
Right. Yeah.
So, and I don't know, that was good. It was a learning experience for sure. Like less is more. It really is. Anytime I'm impressed anytime I'm impressed by a drum riff these days, I'm like, look at how little is happening right now and how impactful it is. Like,
at that point in the song, and he only did it once. Like, they only did it once. Yeah.
Yeah,
if there's one thing I've learned from recording, it's that space in a song has so much power.
Yeah,
so much more power than 2 or 3 or 4 layers of vocals or 3 guitar, like space, having room for things to kind of sit down and everyone take a breath for 3 seconds or a moment. Like,
not playing is a choice and a contribution.
Yeah.
Oh, we're being joined by Alexi. Before her posting. Where are you right now?
I'm in the hallway of my hotel in downtown London, Ontario.
Oh, nice.
What are you doing there?
Lexi's on a school trip.
Yeah.
She gets to present.
London, right? Yeah.
She's
Arnie's
part of
close to
her.
Western.
Oh, nice. She's in a lab, an independent lab at the university, and she was doing research, and she gets to present on it at the big national conference. So pretty awesome.
Wow.
Yeah.
Are you at
Proud
Western
dad.
Ontario?
Proud dad.
Am I what?
Are you at Western?
Yes.
Oh, okay, cool. Yeah, great.
Like not for school, just like for the week.
Yeah, no, congratulations.
Sweet.
That's great.
That's where our mom
Yeah.
went, and our niece is there right now, working on her master's.
Okay, represent.
Yeah. If you can go find her graduation photo.
That'd be a crazy task.
That's funny. Okay,
Crazy task.
It's from
I asked
60s.
I asked Lexi to pop in because we asked a bunch of people to ask us questions, which we're
Right.
going to get to here shortly. But I told Lexi she could pop in live because she has
And ask the
privilege.
first one.
And ask
Yeah,
the
okay,
first
great.
question, which is why I was
Yeah.
holding back on some of the other ones so that Alexi could jump on and ask the band her questions.
I love. Okay, I'll preemptively set the stage first, is because what I'm asking, I've literally just had the assumption that it's going to happen. And I've just been saying it's going to happen. And my dad has known this. And then, like, I think
Oh, this is
year,
the question you're going to ask? Okay.
of course.
Okay, here we
Of course it is. But literally earlier this year, my dad was like, I think you got to tell the band, like, they don't know what they're in for. And I was like, oh, like in my head, since I was like 5, maybe this has just been my assumption. But when it happens, can you guys play at my wedding, please?
Yeah, why not?
That's her
Of
legit
course.
question.
That's legit my question, because in my head, this is gonna happen. But he was like, you need to like ask.
Yeah.
And what song in particular has to get played?
Oh, Evergreen, because on October 30th, I'm literally getting a tattoo of an evergreen tree after your guys' song.
No kidding. Okay.
So
Do you know the story
yeah.
behind that song?
In the mix of my dad's million stories he's told me, I probably can't dig it out. So you might have to remind me.
So I wrote that song for when my best friends got married.
The wedding song.
Okay, so it's perfect.
The wedding song. It'll be full
So
circle.
it's perfect.
Yeah, she's been sitting
Okay.
on that one a long time, guys. So,
Yeah, we'd be on
but
it.
Yeah.
I told her, you're right, Lexi. I remember. I told you, Stephane's not getting any younger, and you better figure out how to get married soon. And he's just riding a bike through Canmore now. So
No pressure, but my drum chips are getting weaker and weaker.
What the heck?
The chips are leaving.
the chips are falling everywhere.
Listen, man, you gotta hold out for maybe 7 or 8 more years.
What? I'll only be 63.
Oh my goodness.
It's okay, you'll stay youthful. Get some retinol in you.
Well, Lexi, let me tell you something I realized in the last 5 years as a musician, is that when you do this either for a living or part-time, there's no greater honor than when people ask you to be a part of like the biggest days of their life. And that could be,
Yes.
sometimes it's a funeral, sometimes it's a wedding, sometimes it's and it's not always easy to do, like, but truly there's no greater honor than someone asking you that.
I love that. Well,
So
then
there,
what
you-
I'm
you
hearing
got
is
your answer.
I'm hearing a unanimous yes
Yeah, you heard
Yes.
it. Yes.
and no caveat on the year, so I'm in no rush.
Okay, that's the caveat I needed to hear, so I appreciate that very much.
Just give me a year's notice.
Oh,
Yeah.
easily,
Yeah,
yeah.
me too, so I can practice.
I'm type A enough for that. I
Yeah,
can
we
get
all
behind
need
that.
at least 12 months to practice.
Some of you gotta practice more than others, probably, and that's okay.
So this is
100%.
this is a callback because we were talking a little bit earlier about in the studio and some of the changes that were made, and I talked about how I didn't love the studio version of Evergreen as much as the way we play it live. And so the caveat to that story is like the last reunion. Actually, every time we did a reunion show, I had to go back. I had no point of reference for what my actual solo was because it's different on the recording than the way I played it live.
Oh.
And I finally found a YouTube clip of somebody that had us playing Evergreen, and I could make out enough of it to remember
Yeah, right.
how to play the
was
solo.
that at Times Changed in Winnipeg? Was it that one?
Yeah, it was. That is the Times Change one.
Yeah, I've seen that one.
With Brad Tibble on drums.
Yeah.
I see him every morning I work, and I
I
make
know
him his
you do.
coffee.
I know you do. Okay, well,
so
thank you, Alexi. Thank you for. It's late there, I know, so thank you for
It's
jumping on
11.
the call.
That's like 3 hours past my bedtime, guys.
That's
my
late for a girly. I know. Okay.
It's a hard
Good to
life.
see you.
Anyways,
Nice
Thank
to
you
see
so
you.
much.
guys. Love
Thanks
you.
for coming in. Bye.
Okay.
Yes. Sure. I'll see you soon.
Yeah, awesome.
Okay. Bye.
Okay, bye.
Ciao.
Bye-bye.
Good night.
All right.
That
I
was
had to,
really nice.
I had to have
Oh,
a
that
little
was cool.
surprise for you guys in there.
How dare you make us get emotional?
How dare I? Okay, well let's do a little more of this right now, because there's some relative things here that people have asked, because we're talking about our songs and the music and how we record it and how some of them are different. Like right out of the gate, I've had this from a couple of people. I had this from Arlene. I had this in a sense from Adam Culligan, another great friend of the band, who really supported us. I just want to make that caveat too. Maybe the greatest thing that got us started was the fact that you guys had this friendship circle that came to every single gig we played for like the first 2.5 years. Like guaranteed. Like you had the most dedicated group of friends, which was incredible. And there's really like, what a way to get a band on their feet, as to, make everybody else in the city think that we had a crowd everywhere we went. So, but Cully was one of those guys. So, we're going to have to dice this question up a little bit, because they're similar but different. So we have the question from Arlene: what is each of your favorite Weepool song? Are you able to have a favorite child here? That might be harder for the songwriters. For me, even it's, I was thinking about it today, and I'm like, do I have a favorite song to listen to off the record? Like I need that feeling the most, or different than my favorite song to play? And there might be.
It's two questions for sure.
Yeah. So who wants to go first? Does someone know what their answer is?
I can tell you that I've always had it's always been a battle between Phone Book and Right Arm. Yep.
Good,
Really?
good choices.
And one day one of them will win, but right now.
I had seen that a few people had asked this question in the comments of the posts we made, and when I was listening to the albums this week, I kind of was keeping that in mind. But yeah, live and studio, totally different. Like probably so this is Evangeline from the second album, which is one of Mike's songs. I love it. I'm not sure if we ever played it more than twice, but
Correct.
I love it. I love the song. I love the recording. I love the story. I love it. Right Arm, I love the song. And I love playing it live, which really, for me, says a lot, because I hate playing the bass guitar, and I play bass on that song. I never wanted to ever play the bass, but I did play the bass about 50% of the time, and I loved playing that song, even though I was on bass.
That song made the hairs on my arm stand up sometimes when we played
me too.
it. Yeah,
me too. I always loved playing Neil Young for so many reasons. I loved Mike's harmonies. Glenn, I love your solo. Steph, you
which
got
one?
some
We had like 4. Like that song. That song has no chorus,
take the
right?
compliment, Glenn.
Oh, sorry. Okay.
We'll ask you what your
I loved it because there's no
second.
chorus. You had 4 verses, and then we just soloed in between, and then doubled it on the way out the end. So.
And I loved that in the early days. That was a song like, when I think of us playing that song in the early days, there was a lot of nights where, because we would do a lot of like stomping our feet, like just pound. There was a lot of nights where when we finished playing that song, there was a cloud of dust that came up off the stage from the carpet.
I was thinking about
But
that.
do you remember the Ironwood in Calgary?
Yeah.
So the first time that happened was the classic Ironwood in Calgary, and they had a very old, that ornate kind of carpet rug that you roll out.
Yeah.
I forget, there's a name for it. But we were stomping the hell, maybe it was that song, stomping the hell out of a song, and I thought my amp was on fire. Because there was so much smoke, and it was all the way up to our knees, and it was thick, and I thought only smoke out of my amp could be producing that, so I was like freaking out. But
you lit up your solo so bad.
I love that. Neil Young was the best stomper song for sure, and it would get people up and loving it too. So
so those are my three.
What about you, Mike?
For different reasons.
I think
what about you,
Mike? Neil Young for sure. I think it's my favorite song we've done as a band because it was one of the first songs, and it had so much urgency and but it was so slow to build as well, and we did such a great job with it. And by the end, I think it just embodies everything that we're great at. Like the harmonies, the rhythm, the driving rhythm of it, the length. You can put that song on, and it's not 7 minutes on the album, but it's a great like road trip song where you can lose yourself. You can there's a joke that a good album will allow you to measure a road trip in songs, not kilometers, right? And I think that's it. It really anchors Township, and it was my favorite song to play. And I think when it came to like the studio times, like from the studio thing, and maybe one of my proudest songs that I'd written is Selfish Guns, which is absurd to talk about because we never played it. I don't think we ever talked about it again after recording it. And
we tried.
I did. I loved that song.
We wrote it as part of a songwriting competition with like Nick Perot and a bunch of guys at O'Byrne's. And I just kind of like ripped it out. I was obviously the lyrics showed what place I was in at the time. So it was easy to write.
Visceral.
And it just kind of like
visceral.
It's visceral, totally. And then we go into the studio and we do this arrangement with Dave Aid, and by the end of it, and then Paul Bellows is on horns, and we come up with it, and I don't know, it's almost like we buried it at track 10 or whatever. And I'm listening back through Ontario last year, and that comes up and it starts, and I'm like, oh yeah, I forgot we even recorded this. And by the end, I was just like, this song is so good.
Dude,
but
listen,
you know what? Listening to that song this week, like I said, listening to the album again, when I heard it, I was like, and I've always felt this way, but this week I was like, wow, is this such a personal song? Like it's and
that's why I love it. Like it cuts so hard. Like some of the lines, like Mike, the way you put together some of the lines in that song,
I'm pretty proud of like how the lyrics.
I can't even get over it. Like when I listen to it,
phrasing,
still, like, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and I don't think most people know that that's even a conflict for songwriters, because I have a few songs on the two albums where I was like, listening to them even this week, I was like, oh, these are grossly personal.
Pretty naked.
Yeah, Between You and Me is a really personal one. FBD is a really personal one.
FBD was so good live.
Thanks.
Yeah.
But yeah, like when you're songwriting, the personal stuff comes out, and you kind of owe it to yourself to be honest to yourself in the songwriting.
Yeah.
No matter how naked or vulnerable you may feel. And then once you release it,
totally.
But I talked to this about artists on the podcast. Yeah, guys, I talk to artists about this now, right? Because having witnessed that and seen it, I'll ask the question, like, when you write this song, you have no idea, right, that you're going to end up having to talk to it about it with like dudes on their podcast for like the next 5 years, and you're going to have to relive your inspiration and the moments and all of that like over and over and over again. Like, yeah, that's a good point.
I remember doing an interview with Sandra Spironis when she was with The Journal. She phoned me to do an interview about, I can't remember which album, the first album. And she had asked me, what's that song about? And I wasn't going to tell a journalist from the Edmonton Journal. So you kind of have to do some tap dancing and use analogies and metaphors in this, but it's a bit of a like a tightrope act sometimes. If you want to write what you're experiencing Some people are great at it, using metaphors and analogies and vagaries, but at that point I wasn't. I was pretty
sometimes it's on your sleeve. That's it.
Yeah.
But
well, I don't regret it, but it was tough.
We have a question in there relative. So before I give my answer, I'll just make sure we get this in here, because there's a question that people want to know what the story was behind Right Arm, and since that was one of Steph's favorite, and I know the story, and like I said, the incredible, like, what's the line? I didn't want to say it wrong. The blood-shaped stars, or
I was going to say it's this perfect blood-shaped stars.
Yeah, the perfect blood, the spitting.
When I
out
heard
the
it this week, I was like,
stars.
oh God, that's great.
Yeah, that one to me, I was like, what a way to like put a bow on that whole story. But Mike, can you sort of give what are you doing? Sort of the Coles Notes inspiration of where that
what do you think you are?
Where that tune came from?
I was thinking about that because I was listening to it, and I realized that that's the most that's the song where there's a story that's a narrative that I didn't live or experience necessarily. I'm writing.
You're not in the story.
Yeah, I'm writing as though I'm a first person, sort of telling the narrative.
Yeah.
Oh, it's Emily Carr. And that's a story that I was told. Emily Carr was a story that I was told. A good friend of mine lived that, and I kind of obviously put some color to it. But Right Arm was inspired, whereas a lot of the songs, like you were just saying, I write from a first-person experience of their relationships. And I always kind of I marveled at people like Elvis Costello or Jim Cuddy, who can write just song after song after song about obviously things that they didn't live through. Like, how could Jim Cuddy have broken up with women for 40 years?
God bless him.
In my mind, he did. He's been married the entire time, but right? In my mind, he did. So I just kind of think he's got such a gift for putting himself in someone else's position and being able to, and Elvis Costello is great at that as well. And their ability to like empathize and put themselves in a situation that they can explore and then express back to the listener, which is fascinating to me because I've always felt so confined to my own experiences. So Right Arm, for example, I was a letter carrier for Canada Post for 4 years in Edmonton, and I would spend half of my time walking through neighborhoods where there wasn't you could tell that there was just some very difficult domestic situations going on. And one of the things was I just remember walking past the sidewalk and seeing, that constellation of blood on the sidewalk, and just being like, that's what popped in my head. And you don't always necessarily get to claim that as your own. It just kind of comes to you as a songwriter. Like that idea is like, oh, that the stars and like that blood looks like a constellation, and then you're just like, oh, I gotta write this down. Like, you just have to be attentive when it happens. I think Tom Waits 100%. Said it. He's like, to catch the big ones, you got to be really quiet. It's like fishing, to catch the big fish, you got to be really quiet. And it was just kind of like that, where when inspiration strikes, you got to make sure you have a pen and paper, or now a phone or whatever handy. So, and then I would just get to witness these personalities and these people living with mental illnesses. And it allowed me to, I don't know, I worry about that song now because it's like, is there a certain amount of appropriation or exploitation just for me, like observing these stories? But it was based on observations that I had from this, that was really powerful for me to just see these and explore these stories that were really kind of heartbreaking.
Yeah, I don't think it's appropriation. I think people are trying to make, I don't know, maybe people are trying to pull those lines closer together than they need to be. But I think storytellers, whether it be awesome cinematographers, whether it be musicians or whatever, when they allow you to feel what it feels like to get in the skin of somebody else, in other words, like you can be in the story yourself, that's the only way you have a chance of actually learning empathy. right? Like that's how we learn empathy, by crawling inside the skin of other people. And I think artists do that for us all the time, you know? So I think it's an incredible skill. Yeah. Well, awesome. Let me, okay. I'll give my answer real quick, 'cause I had to think about this a lot. The hard part about me answering this is I have a whole bunch of favorites to play, and they all come off of what I got to play, like what maybe you guys feel the same way about the songs you write. Like,
so
what are you
selfish, Glenn?
What are you
Nothing's
so
changed.
proud
Clearly
of?
nothing's changed. You know, I thought we'd
Listen.
get together and things would change. You haven't changed a bit.
No,
You haven't changed a
you guys
bit,
had
Glen
3
Erickson.
people, and you were like, none of us are divas, so you hired a diva, and then nothing changes. But,
We paid you?
oh man, so good. I'll say that my favorite song, although like all of you, like really hard to do, but I don't know, I can't get away from Penny L. To me is maybe one of the most perfectly written songs I've heard, let alone experienced. I think like that song is absolutely perfect. Like the lyrical weaving, just from your background and your knowledge of, you know, biblical text relating to very important cultural things in our country. Louis Riel was, I thought, just brilliant. And it's one thing to have the brilliant idea, like you said, when you're walking around on your postal route. It's another thing to be able to take it back and actually do the work and shape it into something so special. So Penny L to me is like one of the most special songs I've ever sort of known somebody that I know come up with. So I have to pick that one. But I will say, out of like, I'm really proud of This Is It, because that's a song that you came not finished to the band, and that's one of the first things to start the Ontario recording writing sessions. And that's this instance where I had a dream about all those parts, like the horn parts and that rhythm of the da 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 da, instead of the way you were kind of playing it more like mic acoustically. And I kind of, anyhow, so being able to have that influence always felt, and the song turning out so well, like felt fulfilling to me. But I thought that would be my favorite to play live, but it's phone book every time. Like we always played it at the end of the night. My favorite thing about playing guitar for you guys is that you wrote songs, like we've already talked about, with so much feeling. And I never wanted to be a soloist. Like I didn't want to be the lead guitar player. Like, and you guys didn't ask me to be the lead guitar player. You just let me play guitar. And I wanted to find the sounds and the textures. And right to the very end, that's the song that I'm hiding tears every time I play it on stage at the end of a night. And to the point where I thought on a couple of those reunion shows, I didn't know how I was going to fucking get through it. Because
I know.
in my head this is the last time. It's the last song of the night.
Right.
It's the last song of the night. It could be the last time we ever play. And it's the last time I play this song, which makes me feel this way every time. And I don't know if there's another song that makes me feel that way as consistently as Phone Book does.
So you felt like Rob did every time he went through
I'm the
White
one
Ave.
I'm the one that manifested.
We're not talking about White
young
Ave.
shit.
We are not talking about White Ave.
He would spike the bass into the stage at the end if it was perfect. Just like, yes!
I think I only played that
that's funny.
properly about 3 times in all the years we were together. I think
And
live.
it was glorious when you did.
Well, Glenn, to your point, like about getting
My favorite...
Glenn, to your point,
Go
just
ahead.
quickly, I mean, the last couple of times we've gotten together to start rehearsing for these last couple of reunion shows, I know that, like, we would start, okay, what do you want to start with? And, like, within the first couple of bars of me singing something, I would choke up because, like, this wave, and I remember looking at Rob once, and he's like, don't look at me. Like, we were just, like, both gonna, like, don't, you can't look at me, I'll cry. Like, there's, like, getting back into those emotions and and even though I've changed and I'm not the same person, I think I remember talking to you guys about this when we were rehearsing for one of the last reunions. I was like, I feel like I'm playing covers of my own songs. Like I'm not the same person that lived in these clothes and played these songs when we were performing them as a band.
And
right?
it's true.
Because I've grown up, I've had different experiences.
Like you shouldn't be.
And you shouldn't be, totally. Like, and I wonder if Neil Young's like still like he's
plays old man, and he's just like, well, like it doesn't.
But that emotion, Mike, like I don't remember which reunion show it was for, but we all met in Calgary. I'm thinking it's the second one. We met in Calgary at that like rental shop that had like that little rehearsal jam space.
That was the first one. Yeah, KLM.
Was that the first one? Okay.
Yeah,
and we got back together, and all I remember is us setting all our shit up. That feeling in my chest that we're like actually doing this, and I couldn't wait. Everything's set up. We're just sort of like humming and hawing, and it's like, what do we do? And then Steph, you just did the fill into Geo, and away we went into Geographic Center Canada, which I don't know if I've felt such elation out of so many, like amount of times we've played these songs. That moment is stuck with me of like us being the band that we are and the guys that we are when we're together. Was like, nobody needs to say shit. Steph knows what to play to get us going, right? And so
100%. That thing was always like just pouring gas on everything and just like.
Okay, a couple of quick questions since we're on the music thing here. We have a question from former guest of the pod and current guest of Robb's house, Brandy Sidork. That's a terrible way to put that, I know.
Yeah, I mean, she comes and goes.
He's getting
yeah, okay. Her
She's
question
in Prague
was,
right now, by the way.
what? Oh, I've seen the pictures. Yeah, it's amazing on socials. Good for her. So Brandy wanted to ask, what evolution would the band have taken musically if you had recorded more music? What would the next record have sounded like? Which I think is a great question because we left off with 2 songs in the can. The cover that we did,
both of those songs,
and I still go back and listen to them. So Mike had written a song that ended up on his solo album called "Swallow It Whole," and we did the loudest song, other than maybe what we did with Geo sometimes, but what we did in the studio, and it's only 2 minutes long, and we layered so many guitars. I was in heaven, and so we recorded "Swallow It Whole," and we recorded the song, the Gordon Lightfoot cover for that music
Circle
blog
is
out in
Small.
Halifax.
Circle is Small.
Circle is Small, which Stephane, the fact that people don't get to hear your drums on that. And this is where I don't know if you'll ever have the chips to play that again, because I don't
drum
like
pattern
that was
on that song was incredible.
And even the very ending. I'm sitting here again. I'm the diva. I layered 4 guitar parts onto that outro solo, and I was so proud.
I remember coming into the studio after lunch break, and you had worked through lunch, and I came back in, and you were just like, you were vibrating. You were like, I got to do so many guitar tracks.
We went crazy. I loved it, and yet every time I listened to it, it's the way the bass drops out right at the very end, and you flip the drum pattern and start doing these little roll. Unbelievable.
I think I was
Stephane.
channeling Brian Devendorf or something during that whole thing.
Yeah, believe it.
Like,
I believe it. But so we had 2 in the can that were loud, and so I'm wondering, like, we can just answer Brandy's question straight up, where each of you think we were headed. But I know for me, I've always wondered, was I pushing? I'm just being honest since we're on the pod here. Like I always wondered, was I pushing us? Because I was the indie rock guy more than I was the alt country guy, right? So I'm like,
I think I was more excited about like a more electric guitar driven direction.
What's
like,
that guy from the band Come On with the big long beard? Ian something.
Ian Blurton.
Oh,
Blurton.
Yeah.
I wanted him to produce the next record.
Yeah, like when I look back on that
records, like
perfect. When I look back on that kind of the later part of those 2 songs, I look back and I think like I was probably going towards like Constantine's or like early Arkells kind of thing, guitar driven rock band, and I was listening to those guys a lot, and at that time, that was the direction I just assumed we were going. Like, it wasn't a decision. It's almost not a decision, right? It's just...
No, it's not. Like, Geographic was, when I first wrote it, that was one of the first songs that I think we ever collaborated on. And I made a demo of it, and it was like this very quiet Sufjan Stevens-esque
I remember
there was a falsetto on it. Rob was like, "We got to get rid of that."
I remember the first time we played that song. I was like, "Everybody stop!
Absolutely not." Yeah, totally.
This is what the song is.
This is the tempo.
It's this tempo. It's loud guitars. It's this beat, and I think the reason I ended up singing it in the studio is because the first 25 times that we ran through it together, I was like, just let me sing and I'll show you guys what my vision is. I'm like, this is how I'm hearing it. So you tell me what you think. And then by the time we were done, it was just like, that's probably how it should be.
That's a take.
And we were used to me doing the vocal. I don't think I even really remember asking you if I should sing the vocal. Like, but
fine.
But I remember having really, really strong opinions about that song when we started working on it.
Yeah.
And
which was typically the loudest song in our set quite often.
Yes.
So, yeah.
Oh yeah.
And then I think about, like, we did Blurred Lines a couple of times for
which we wrote for the second reunion.
Yeah, and
show. Well, you wrote and then you brought it to the band. And I'm cutting you off for a quick second to caveat that you use the specific phrasing. Let's wheat pool this thing. In other words, it's everything you guys just said, like what you said about Geographic, which is like, I used to have this nice soft recording and then the band absolutely blew it up.
Totally.
Which is like what we did with Blurred Lines, I think.
I played a couple of solo shows and I intentionally played it like as if it was from Ryan Adams' Heartbreaker. Like, just really quiet. And I loved that I could do that, like, almost Bob Dylan style picking thing for it, and it could translate. But then I knew when I bring it in for you guys that I was like, let's do what we do best. And I think there's a big gap between Circle is Small and Blurred Lines, obviously, 15 years. So I don't know if it's a fair conversation, but the thing I loved about that is that we worked it and we kept whittling away at being like, let's make this the most interestingly concise rock song that we can. It's punchy, let's put this here. And it came together really quickly in a really interesting way.
Well, the 15 years, let's make a point of that for a second, Mike, because I think that's an interesting point, unrelated to what Brandy's asking, which is like what evolution would have been next. The fact that we're basically saying here we're going to go heavier and louder. And then we end in 2012, right? Mm-hmm. And then both at the 2015 and 2019 reunion shows, I remember so interesting that people would say, people who had watched us from the very beginning said, you guys sound better now than you ever did. Like, we practiced hard, really hard for those shows. We had become better musicians. Like, a lot of us were playing. I know, Rob, you had a lot more experience with the Dungarees at a level of professionalism in a lot of your gigs that were, pretty high, and you brought that to us. Anyhow, like, so we pulled that off, but doing Blurred Lines, Mike, it's interesting to me that that's 2019. So 7 years later, it's like we picked up where we left off with wanting to make a rock song, essentially, right?
Yeah, and it felt so concise and so punchy, and we whittled away. It was like the antithesis of 2005 Wheat Pool, where we were trying to stretch these songs into road trip songs. We took the song and we were like, let's make it this perfect little rock jam. I remember we opened with like the bridge. We put your guitar riff from the bridge in there, and then right into the lyrics, and then right into the chorus, and then a quick punchy bridge again, and then a great... And didn't we do like the Matthew Sweet finish on it too, where we stopped and then we restarted?
Yeah, totally.
We did.
Just to be completely cheeky.
Okay. So it's funny how we keep doing this. No, you're totally right. Well, two things. I have the recording where I just put my iPhone down in the room, and it was closest to Stephane. And so Stephane did this like, and there's a crackle and snap because it's distorting too close to my phone.
Overdriving
at the start. That sounds so good. So if we were to ever record that, I would be like, unmistakably, that has to be the sound to start this song off. It's so good.
Yeah, that drum tone.
But we actually do have a question about, do you still have song ideas around that you'd like to finish and or record, perform together? And I think we've always talked about whether we wish that we had gotten those songs recorded and out.
I don't write too much on my own anymore, which that's all I used to do when we were together as a band. Like, I only wrote on my own. There's little bits and pieces and chunks here that I think are a good fit for our project. But I don't actively do it. Like, I'm not like, I gotta write this week. Kind of like when you're in an album cycle, you feel that way.
Yeah.
But, I mean, we do have a few songs that I don't think we've ever played that we've toyed around with that are kind of bits and pieces. Like when we did the first reunion, I think, Mike, you showed up with 2 new ones. And I think maybe we only played one, but...
That's true. We toyed around with one quieter one. In your living room. I remember that. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I've got some. I do want to play again. Like, I would love to play more shows together. And, if we had a timeline on that, I definitely would flesh out more of the ideas I have and would want to nudge him to flesh out more of his, for sure.
Well, every other person who asked a question included an extra question, which is, when is the reunion tour? So it's funny that you say that, because I had to ask that question, whether it was cheeky or what it was. I think some people that we know and love.
Finally, which is nice.
Robb's done. He's like, no.
He's taking the fifth.
Anyhow, he's out of here.
Yeah.
I don't know. I guess that's.
It's good that we're all on the same continent again, which is nice.
Yeah, it's true. I'll be honest. Like, I got asked this question not that long ago, and my answer was, I don't think it's going to happen again. I'm being really transparent.
How much money?
That's the question we asked in 2019, which was really kind of funny.
Totally. Yeah,
we asked that question, but that I asked it more because I was like, someone's like saying, "I'll pay you this much to come play this place," and I don't even like the place very much that we were being offered to play in. And I'm like, I know how to run a show. I'll run our own show out of a venue that I know that we can connect with an audience better, and then we'll make 100% of the money off of it. Which, let's be honest, we did okay on those 2 reunion shows.
I used to joke that it was like those reunion shows were so great because people showed up, we sold out, they bought merch, and they sang along. That's 4 things that never happened.
What a dream.
When we were touring.
It also reminded me not to be so critical when Glass Tiger keeps playing the White Court Casino over and over and touring around those. I'm like, if they can bring out a room full of people who will sing along to their songs, like, they're feeling something I'm not getting to feel right now, so I can't hold it against them. But I don't know, like, it's interesting. I'm always interested whether you guys think about playing another show together. The first time, if people don't know, Robb, when we broke up, set a moratorium of 5 years before bands are allowed to play a reunion show. Otherwise, I don't know what you said, it just looked bad, or it's just a shitty move, or whatever it was.
It's just like getting back together with your ex too soon.
Yeah, it just seemed kind of needy. Yeah, 5 years is a little needy.
But you were the one who first sent the text out in the group chat when 5 years had passed and asked what we thought about it. So I thought that was pretty awesome.
I don't think we ever stopped playing because we didn't want to play music anymore. And actually, there was a question that came in about how did we arrive at this discussion. It wasn't because we were sick of each other. It wasn't because it was more of a bigger discussion about, to continue, what did an album cycle involve as far as time, travel, away from families, writing a whole new album, and where were we at? So, I mean, that was...
I remember it, by the way. We were in Royal Pizza.
Just off White
Ave area.
Before a gig at the pawn shop.
Yeah,
we were
after
playing
a
show
sound check
that night. We didn't even.
It wasn't the pawn shop. I think it was that charity gig, wasn't it?
Up is the Black Dog. You don't break up a Royal Pizza.
Mike's out.
It was like a.
I always thought it was that charity gig we did, the Helping Kids one that we went and played, and those were, despite that you're participating in a charity, they still felt a little soul sucking, if I'm being totally honest. But I remember the conversation being that
it was very pragmatic and
yeah,
just
I had been
open.
doing the business part of the band, quite a bit of it, for a long time. And I said, it's been 2 years since the last record. Like, we need to, like, the next thing, we know what the next thing is, right? I was running 18-month cycles on those albums, right? It's trying to stretch them out at least that long. And that's a long time. And I remember, Rob, if you remember it this way, I'm wondering, I remember you questioning, like, whether it's going to happen. Almost like, you know, if I'm passed up in the first round in the NHL draft, like, you stop believing maybe whether you'll get drafted at all. And we sort of felt like we had been introduced to a lot of people, and everybody kept telling us, you guys are awesome, right? Like, when, you know, you guys are going to totally make it, or like, we had a lot of people pumping our tires for 7 years. And I remember your sentiment of, like, I'm not sure it's going to happen. And I think I raised the question of, I think I've said this to you guys before. I hope I have. Otherwise, I don't know what this will sound like. But I remember regretting, in a way, asking the question, like,
Oh, right.
do we want to still do this then? But I asked it there, you know?
Yeah, you know, and I was thinking about the moment you're describing. I mean, I've thought about it a lot, and I was thinking about it a lot this week. And I think the heart of it is that, and I don't think we ever talked about this, and probably I would imagine other bands experience this too, but I remember feeling a lot of heartbreak that, and everybody loves their own music and everybody loves their first album. I thought we made a great first album. For a band, for a first album, I thought we made a great first album. And then the challenge for a young band is, can you make a second good album? To me, in my heart, the second album is better than the first album. And I thought the songs in the second album were deeper and darker and richer, and I thought the second album blew the first album out of the water. And this is probably like a function of being like the creative type and an artist type, but I know I was pretty hurt that it didn't, which it sounds ridiculous to say I was hurt, but like, I was hurt that it didn't move forward to the places I had dreamed of.
That's
and
not
we
ridiculous,
had done
by the way.
We had done 2 albums that I loved and I was so proud of. And so to talk about, okay, are we going to do a third album? Like, it's going to mean this much time in the studio, this much time pumping it, this much time on the road, this much time, you know, and
yeah,
Glenn, you shouldn't feel regret for asking that question, because it was totally respectful and fair of all of our lives at that time.
Yeah.
Do we have the gas for this? Do we have the energy for it? And for me, I think the crux of the decision was, I was kind of heartbroken that I believed in it so much, and so many other people seemed to, but the industry didn't seem to. I don't know why. Well, I have thoughts on that, but that's another whole other podcast.
But
and some of them lie on our side of the table, without question. Without question. I'm not saying we were flawless in the industry, but
no.
A big part of it, at least with me, and I speak only for me, is when you asked us that question, I was comfortable kind of asserting my heartbreak about where we were at that point, and were we ever going to get over the hump.
And I think my response was, and I'm interested in what the other of you were thinking as well in the response. I just know for me, maybe I wasn't prepared for that. So maybe I'm not using the word regret properly to name that emotion, that response, as much as maybe I just wasn't prepared that was actually the truth. And, you know, it's almost like your hard conversation with someone you're dating or whatever, when you ask the question, like, are we what we think we are? And for me, like, just being at the later stage of life, and I just thought, if these guys don't have their heart in it, how am I going to go, like, pour myself out again for 18 months? And I was carrying something as immediate as we had come off the road that spring. I think we had done the whole, when we go out for North by Northeast or whatever it was, and then try to do that whole run of Ontario shows again and stuff. And I remember coming home, and Lexi, who was on earlier, was 7, and just picking her up when I get into the house, and that great moment of seeing my girl again, and her asking if I'm done leaving. Are you gonna not go away anymore? And like, that was pretty hard. And I think when I look back, I think that just imprinted itself, where I was like, am I able to still do this if these guys aren't all the way in it, you know?
Well, I remember there were so many times where we'd be rehearsing or we'd be playing a show somewhere, and Glenn, you'd say, "Oh, I'm missing your son's first
hockey stuff
or I'm missing a birthday party," and I remember thinking about, okay, we need to commit to 2 more years if we're going to do a 3rd record. And I had my own life outside of the band that was really picking up and nice in a way that I had never had before. I met someone that I was intending to marry, and like, I wanted for the first time in my life like a stable relationship with a mortgage and the white picket fence and like all these things, because when you're a musician growing up, you sleep on floors and you don't really have steady source of income, and you're making all these sacrifices. And I think we were all quite happy to do that for that period. Those early formative years where like everything's exciting and you're just like, okay, yeah, I don't need a mortgage, I'll just pay rent when I can, and yada. And I had a point in my life where I was like excited about how my life, and people would pull me aside and be like, man, I would do anything to have your life. I don't want the white picket fence and the mortgage and all this stuff. It's boring. Like, you should be a rock star and stay a rock star. So first time in my life, I was kind of seduced by this idea of like some stability and other things that I wanted for my life outside of the band. And I thought about like what you and Stephane were having to sacrifice with having families and kids and these things. And it didn't feel fair for me to not let you know how I was feeling, which is like, I don't feel like my heart's 100% at the expense of you guys missing birthday parties and first hockey games and your kids' first goals and stuff like that. So that, I think that was part of the conversation where maybe it was like, oh, maybe I shouldn't have asked. I wasn't quite ready for that answer. But I think it was like, it's part a business decision, but it was also part sort of like that awkward breakup.
Yeah, I mean, and retrospect is what it is. So I should, first of all, preface, like, I don't regret any of our decisions. The fact that we still have our text group chat, and I probably count you guys my best friends in the world that I would turn to, prefer to spend time with over almost anyone, is like the thing that came out of it, that the rest of the stuff doesn't matter as much. I think looking back, I realized, because I've spent a lot of time coaching bands and trying to develop bands and studying the industry and learning that the hardest thing is to just keep going, right? Mm-hmm. The easiest thing is to stop. And I do think what colors my perception of it probably is, I think if we had kept going, we probably would have done really well. I really believe we probably, now knowing what I know, but you don't know that. You don't know that then. Now knowing what I know, I think we would have broke through. Like, it just needed perseverance. Like, everything we did came out the way we wanted it to be, and we were always proud of it, and we were always unified in it all. And those are things that even bands succeeding don't have in spades like we did. Anyhow, like, so all the things I've learned looking back, I'm like my kids are okay. Like, they're great kids. Like,
they're great kids.
Do you know what I mean?
Glenn.
We Lexi
got him to university.
Lexi would have been fine. Like, Kale's going to grad school in Australia, by the way, Rob. So
yeah.
So okay.
That's cool. Perth, right? He's going to Perth?
No, he's going to Adelaide.
Same side.
So same side. And anyhow,
congrats,
like, that's
man.
retro. That's
cool.
Retrospect, right? But again, like, you can't change any of that kind of stuff. Life happens the way it was going to happen. But I think, I don't know, Stephane, I'm curious about your take on it, and I'll tell you why, okay? is because you had this, like, you know, the coolest guy in school is always the one who genuinely actually doesn't care about anything else. That's why Steph's always been the coolest guy in the band, you guys. I think that you guys might maybe agree with me, but
this is heartbreaking for me. I thought
no,
I was
what I
the
love.
coolest guy in the band.
Rob thought it was him.
All this time.
What I want to say about it is, like, I cared about all the other bullshit. I cared about the business stuff. I cared about all the little details that you had to do to promote a band, to, you know, get attention, to all this stuff. I cared about all that stuff so much. And you cared about it none. You just loved showing up, playing, and hanging out with us, which was so pure and so different than the place I was at. So I'm just curious sort of how you looked at that whole time and coming out of it.
You know, I think that it was, like, looking back at that, I think it was the confluence of real and perceived external pressures about continuing, and feeling like maybe, and I'm not kidding, maybe I was like the part that was holding the whole works back. So kind of going like, I feel like I might get Nickelbacked here at any point. so I should probably.
I don't think there was ever a conversation about another drummer ever.
No, the conversation actually was, I remember Mike saying, this isn't the Wheat Pool unless Stephane's part of it.
Yeah. No. Yeah. It's not.
Yeah. Well, that's awesome to hear, and I appreciate it. But it's kind of like, I had a feeling like I didn't contribute to the same extent. So, you know, I honestly, I was like, if these guys can go on and do something beyond this without me, then I mean, that's the right thing to do. Not that I did not want to be part of it, but, and when we were talking earlier about what do you think the sound would have evolved into had we carried on and I was part of it, I think I would have probably been wanting to go more circle is small kind of vibe.
Yeah,
on
me
the
too.
drums.
Like, how loud could we get?
All of us.
Yeah.
It was so good.
Well,
and it's not like we weren't a loud band before that.
I know, that's what's so funny about it.
No.
That's
Loud and
amazing.
proud.
I mean,
so
Oh, that's so funny to hear you say that. Like, I don't think there was ever 4 seconds in my life the whole time we were together where I thought you weren't going to be the guy moving forward.
Well, here's the thing, too,
I
Stephane.
just wanted to be the solid guy. That's
you were.
what I
this is the thing. I didn't need you to do any
Real
of all.
mensch.
I love doing all the business shit. Like, I didn't want you to do that. What I loved was when I stepped into the rehearsal room and picked up the guitar, all that other shit always disappeared because I was with like 3 other guys who cared more about what happened between the 4 of us in that moment than any other part of the entire thing. Is the way I perceived it. And you, like I just described, I felt you held that down. Like, you wouldn't let anybody get away with their shit ever. And and you,
Thanks for that.
Band. Thanks, Dad.
Love you, Dad.
Well, it's just a different kind of love, man.
Fucking Magellan. Yeah. Anyhow, that's an interesting take.
And after
for
having my morning advances rebuffed in a hotel in Mississauga, Ontario, so long ago,
Is that where that was?
After that point, I was kind of like,
We should probably tell this story then.
one of my favorite memories ever.
Yeah.
Of any band.
We were in
moment
Mississauga?
ever.
I mean, I would never have remembered where that was, but
I'm pretty sure it was the night before we were flying back.
yeah, and you and I shared a bed that
This is your
night,
last chance, hey?
which I don't think happened a lot. I think Mike and I teamed up a lot because we're
that's
brothers.
Right.
So why you and I would have been sharing a bed that night, I have no idea. Something
idea
must have
either.
happened.
Rift.
Yeah, a rift or maybe some bad papaya or something at a restaurant. I don't know, but we weren't sharing a bed. but you and I were showing about stuff, and it was early in the morning. At least for a band, it was maybe 8, 9 in the morning, and you rolled over and kind of draped your arm across me, and then your other hand scooped underneath and so gently caressed my buttocks. And it woke me up. It woke me up, and I remember thinking, like, where am I? Am I at home? I'm in a hotel. Who's grabbing my ass? Whose arm was across my chest? And I looked across at the other bed, and it wasn't Mike, and it wasn't...
And the only thing I said was, whoops.
Those aren't pillows.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh no,
That's
Rob's
a great moment.
I think Rob's comment to my whoops was, "That's okay. You can buy me breakfast later."
You can buy me breakfast.
Oh my God.
Oh man.
That's funny. Well, I mean, Brent Oliver actually had piped into some questions, guys, and his serious question was, the band had seemed to reach a certain amount of momentum in its prime. Was there a conscious decision to make either a decision to go for it or to look at other paths? I think he's asking the question, like, did we hit like a real, maybe it looks on the outside like we hit a crossroads for a decision rather than the way a lot of bands just peter out, you know what I mean, and play less and less. And I think we already answered that by saying we just took the crossroads head on, and we decided, and we even used the language, right, about the Neil Young language about we'd rather not fade
and fade away.
Burn out and fade away.
Yeah, it was definitely an on-point decision. And there was a couple of people that submitted questions asking something similar. It was for certain an on-point decision. And it wasn't like an ugly one. It wasn't, you know.
Yeah.
I think we really looked at it pragmatically, and we openly discussed where we all were and what it was going to look like the next, you know, what the roadmap of it was going to be. And it wasn't an easy decision. Like, it wasn't without like heartache. But I think we were, even though it was difficult, I think we had a fair amount of peace to it.
I'd agree. Well, Brent also asked a silly question, by the way. He asks if we feel like we were ahead of the curve on mustaches, and the answer obviously is hell yes.
We can grow.
Well, not just that. We started mustache parties before Movember came around.
Long
Do you remember that?
November. Yeah. In fact, we never did another mustache party after Movember became a thing.
Out of respect.
And people should know, Mike could grow the most incredible Borat to the degree that you showed up one year in, I think, like a pale blue suit, like Borat with
and the microphone.
What a glorious
Oh yeah, we wore
stash.
suits.
You wore suits one year. Anyway, we would have these those.
I had my afro at the time.
Yeah,
you
teased it out. It was beautiful.
Hair,
we would do these mustache parties, and it was basically like
there were like 25 guys there.
A bar crawl, right? We would just kind of go from bar to bar to bar, and
there
it
were
just
strict
show
rules.
up.
Like no Fu Manchu. Like it had to end at the side, and this is like early 2000s. So the mustache
there were
wasn't
specific
back
rules.
yet.
Yeah.
It wasn't ironic.
It wasn't.
And then my joy, as a married man, my joy was to see like we'd hit some bar, just absolutely take it over, 25 dudes in mustaches, which was not even ironic back then.
Shock and awe.
And my favorite was like the guys with the cojones to still try to get some phone numbers.
Women.
Yeah.
And Brent Oliver would have been at many of those annual
absolutely.
parties when he would have pushed out a beautiful mustache himself.
Absolutely. Let's keep burning through a couple of these. Our good friend Steph Blaze, relative of the family, member of Postscript, who opened for our first reunion show. Steph asked the question. She wants to know about the most hilarious / horrendous sleeping arrangements on tour. So the very first thing, well, we just talked about maybe.
We just went over the most glorious one. Now let's talk about some horrendous ones.
I think, do you guys remember that band room in Saskatoon? I can't remember the name of the venue.
Best band room in Canada.
That had the Jagermeister bathroom,
Yes,
and
it was above. It wasn't
like the shadow.
Lydia's.
It looked like what? Lydia's.
No,
you're right. Lydia's pub.
best band room in Canada.
Yeah, it had just a room with just a wall of
It had
beds,
like
and
eight double beds in it.
And the paintings on the wall were like the silhouettes of stripper girls that you see on the trucker mud flaps, but they were like painted large across the wall.
But it was clean. All the beds were well made. It was like a hotel.
Listen, and they would pay us well.
Yep.
And then you get to stay in that place, and it was clean, which is so different than. Do you remember two places? One, the house in Banff, the Weed House,
the Rosentown place.
Oh, remember I lost my voice?
We didn't even want to sleep. We didn't even want to sleep on top of the blankets, which is often what we'd end up doing if we showed up at a place and it looked like bed bugs would be there or something.
You guys obviously don't remember this, but when we checked into that place, there was a freshly used condom under my bed, and not like way
No,
under the bed, kind of almost barely under the bed when we checked in. And then Mike lost his voice that night, and the second night, because we were doing a two-nighter, I had to sing every song. And I think we were doing 3 sets that night. I had to sing all of our songs,
like the song we would start with,
and all of the covers.
Second song of the night was Trace of You. I lose my voice halfway through the second verse. Rob doesn't. I think I dropped 2 words before he jumped in, and he covered the rest of the song like the crowd wouldn't even notice. And then he sang every song for the rest of the night.
We did get to ask the question, what do you miss the most? Which I know can have a few minutia sort of reactive responses. I mean, I'll say right off the bat, I think you hear it a lot, but it's not cliche. Like I just miss being around you guys all the time. It's I remember Gretzky after he hung up the skates in New York, and they asked him the question, and he was like, I miss getting up 5 a.m. and going to the rink with the guys. That's all he missed. He didn't miss the game.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's I don't know, like nonstop laughs. Everything.
The thing about that is, I think for people who are like observers or fans or spectators, one thing that maybe they don't fully understand is that their part of our day or of our tour is 60 minutes. Like there's 60 minutes on stage. That's great, but it's just 60 minutes of a day. And so when you're in a band, you have to find a way to make the other 23 hours passable, survivable, or great.
Like in Windsor? Is it Windsor? Yeah. The fog, the tiny little fog. I don't know, Stephane, you might remember, because I had like the closest I had to a meltdown in a van right beside the fog before, between sound check and playing, because the next day was Father's Day, and that's like you guys were saying before, your recollection of what I was missing. I was having this moment where like I'm playing this venue that only fits 15 people in, and I don't think we're going to sell out. And I felt so
we didn't, for the record.
We didn't. I felt the bartender loved us though, and apparently he doesn't love anybody. So I felt so low. But the next day you guys were like, let's drive through the tunnel and go to a Tigers game on Father's Day. And remember that
Father's Day
that dad with like a bunch of like real all-American blonde kids, and he bought us all hot dogs and stuff. And
we got to see
went
Justin Verlander pitch.
Yeah, Verlander, and we went over to Hockey Town across the street.
Yeah,
and
do you remember the American Customs Guard that is like, let's see your passports? And I was like, 4 guys in a van trying to cross the border. We're toast, right? And he takes all of our passports. He's like, what are you guys doing? We're like, we're going to the Tigers game. And he's like, get tickets? You're going to miss the first pitch. You got to go. And he like literally threw the passports back in the van. He's like, get going. Like,
yeah, that was a great
It's awesome. Like the memories, it's the best to hear stories about things that you were involved in or I was involved in, but from someone else's perspective and what they remember about it. Yeah, like
I remember we were really getting into the National. Some of us were really getting into listening to the Nationals Boxer album, right? And like I think that was kind of like we talk about Circle of Small, like that was kind of like we were following the Nationals style arc very closely. But when Boxer kind of first came out and we were all geeking out about it, and Rob was just like, 4 notes is all you get. Like I hated them at first. I hated them so sitting outside of a Tim Hortons in like Sault Ste. Marie or something. And he's like, we're all just like, isn't this cool? And he's like, 4 notes is all you get. Like that's one of my clearest memories of like being on the road.
We were leaving the boathouse in Kitchener-Waterloo.
Okay, yeah, that's where it was.
Oh,
we were headed back to Toronto
that night. We did get asked the question about what our favorite venues to play. That was kind of one of those unique venues for sure. We played it maybe twice.
Yeah.
I loved the Dakota.
It was awesome.
I love the Dakota more than anything.
Dakota was great in Toronto, yeah. Is it closed now or is it closing?
They sold. I will say we got the crest. Do you guys agree? We got the very end of a golden era in Canada where every major city had a classic venue, like from the Railway Club in Vancouver, Ironwood, and Sidetrack Cafe, and times changed in Winnipeg, and the Dakota Tavern, and like and
Cadillac in Toronto was good,
huh? Cadillac.
We played the Cadillac in Toronto a few times.
Cadillac Lounge, and the coup de grace of the Cadillac Lounge is when we finally got, I just lost his name. When we got our Hertz rental car guy, Val, the Russian Val, when he brought a girl out to watch the show, we actually, after using him for about 4 or 5 years, he finally came and watched a show at the Cadillac Lounge. But
remember when he asked for a signed poster? for his car.
Oh, for his car rental office. Yeah,
he signed the poster. Yes.
He was a good guy.
We're not appropriating that at all either, by the way. That's exactly how he sounded. It was
I was telling the story.
One of the most oddball shows that we ever did was in that place on Queen Street West where it was like...
Not My Dog?
Not My Dog. The tiniest venue. And that was the day that the back of the van just exploded with a bunch of shit everywhere, just trying to get ready for the show, like out on the sidewalk.
Street dressing.
I remember during the set, at one point, Mike put down his guitar and left. It wasn't a stage. We were playing just on the floor. And he just left and kind of walked across the room because they had an upright piano, not on stage. He just started playing along to, I don't even remember what song we were playing live as a band, but he just kind of started playing the piano, pattered. Yeah.
Which totally exposed my fatal flaw of getting lost at looking at my feet and not paying attention to the other players enough. And then by the time I looked up, Mike was like 8 bars into whatever he was playing. So before I knew he was gone.
I was telling this story the other day because someone was telling me they were from Toronto or from Vancouver, and we were talking about like what we like about Vancouver, and they said, the Railway Club, and I said, we played a show there. I used to be in a band, blah, 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 blah. We played a show there, and it's the first and maybe only time in the years we were active before we had our reunion shows where I looked up and the room was full, and there was 2 guys at the back of the room that were singing along with one of my songs. Complete strangers.
Yeah.
And that had never happened. And it was one of those moments where you're like, this is not my mom singing along with it in my hometown. This is a complete stranger who knows, who's listened to our records enough to know. And I was just like, there was a moment where I was like, I think I probably did this, like deer in the headlights on the stage. But I was like, oh, this is how it happens. Like you make these connections, 2 guys at a time. And then you come back the next year and hopefully it's 4. And that was
there was no TikTok, no Instagram.
Yeah,
and you get asked, MySpace and Facebook.
There was nothing viral back then.
You ask what you get missed the most. Like, I don't know. Maybe I don't have these conversations with other bands enough, but I don't know that what other people have. But we had these certain connections. Like when I got written, remember the kind of the crazy haired host of that radio program in Toronto? And he told us how like his dad died and he went and built a barn just listening to our record over and over. And it was cathartic, and it's what kind of got him through.
Yep. Was his name Robb?
He spent a whole summer. I can't remember.
I remember.
It was at Ryerson, I think. Remember, he had a radio show. And
yep.
And then there's like guys like the people that came to our
crazy story to tell.
The people that came to our reunion shows from across the United States, like from Washington or whatever. Like Amit, who was a huge fan, and he would come. And the couple that got married that were big on Radio 3's blogs, they came to the Windsor shows. He lived right across in Detroit, outside of Detroit, and he would and you guys, I've told you guys a story about how I ended up at North by Northeast at the Radio 3 picnic they always do, and then they actually exchanged vows, and Grant Lawrence officiated, and or maybe Amit officiating, Grant Lawrence was standing up, but either way, they used the opening line of "This Is It" to start the vows, and I'm just standing there going, "Who gets this kind of a moment, right?" Like, it's pretty amazing to have those kinds of moments for sure.
Yeah, like what I was saying to Alexi when she was on, like, there's a lot of things when you start doing this that you think are big goals and really meaningful goals, but when people ask you to be a part of the biggest moments of their life.
Yeah. Yeah, I completely agree.
I didn't appreciate it back then. I probably do it more now as a performer, and I've really come to be humbled by it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember back at the time we had some friends asking us to play their weddings, and I would have to say, I'm so sorry, we can't. Because you want to play shows based on the band you want to be, not the band you are, and it's this awful feeling of just like, oh, we can't afford to play weddings because then we'll get labeled as a wedding band, and it's like this awful sort of like shitty thing that you're faced with as a band. And like when Lexi came on and she asked me, I was like, of course, of course. There's no.
She could have asked a week before the wedding. He answered the same.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
I had awesome. A friend when Ontario first came out, and This Is It opens the record, right? And our good friend Trent Wilkie, who was a great journalist at the time, he helped do interviews to push the records and stuff like that. And he texted me, he's like, "You ruined my day in the best possible way." Like the first opening lines of This Is
It.
Which is like it's kind of the opposite of what you're talking about when someone invites you into their weddings and these special occasions. And if you can slide into someone's life in a very personal way, in a quiet moment, and have an impact. I'm not saying that like I wanted to ruin his day, but he said it in a complimentary kind of way where it's like, you made a big impact on my day just by hitting play.
Yeah.
A very personal moment.
Yeah.
That's how I've always experienced music the most powerfully, is when it's just me and the headphone.
Well, fellas, we could probably talk all night, it feels, which is maybe the sweetest thing I'm going to take away from this, is just knowing that it's still the same as it ever was. And I'm going to have a lot of editing to do because I pooched the thing a little bit here. Yeah, and I don't. It's a long podcast.
It's a you problem, Glenn. That's a you problem.
This is the Neil Young of podcasts right now, by the way, guys, for sure. Anyhow, if you guys still want to play another show, you can text me on the text chain anytime, and I'll do all the work.
Where would we do another show?
I don't know.
Show?
Somewhere that people will say that they will show up. That's after all this time. That's, I feel like, I don't know. I feel like it's our biggest shared concern is like there may be a few dozen loud voices that say do a reunion show, but I want to do it for more than 36 people if I can. So if I'm being honest, but anyhow, regardless of all that, I would love to play with you guys any day, anytime. So
me too.
But beyond that, we're going to have a real life hangout soon if we're not going to be so spread out all the time. I'm going to have to come down to Calgary, clearly. So make it happen. So we'll do it.
Yep.
Yeah. Any final words, boys? Anybody?
Parting thoughts? Who has parting thoughts? I mean,
Well, my parting thought is I honestly do feel like there may be, and there probably is, more Wheat Pool down the road.
Yeah,
I mean, you guys are all fucking old.
Oh, yeah, there's that.
But
I turned 50 in a couple of months.
Still think it will work.
Yeah, we have a couple of songs we've never really fleshed out, and I'm not against kind of writing a couple more.
You're still handsome. You guys are still handsome. Not bad.
Buddy, I'm doing the best I can here. It's a struggle.
I went through my phone recently and I found 5 other songs from when we were working at Blurred Lines.
Really?
Together.
Holy shit. That's cool.
That's kind of in there. I think I sent you guys the demos at some point, but they could use some tweaking before we re-examine them.
Yeah, if we had 3 or 5 new tunes.
Yeah.
Last time we did the reunion, my dad was just like, and bless Bruce, he's a sweet man, but his only comment was, "Don't play any new songs."
Don't play any
Just play the hits.
Just play the hits.
Just play the hits.
He's salt of the earth. And I would love to record Blurred Lines. I think that was so good how it turned out. I would love to work on some new stuff and see where it would go. See how loud it could get.
That'd be fun. Well, guys,
I've already got hearing damage, so
yeah,
it's all
I
good.
do too. I was talking about this. I had I don't know if you remember Joelle May. I just had her on as a guest, and that was one of my first questions, because I only used to see her at gigs and conferences, and I'm like, "How's your hearing, by the way?" Because I'm starting to notice mine isn't the best.
For sure.
I wouldn't wear stuff on stage. I wanted to hear the noise, and I'm paying for it.
Yeah, me too.
I'm paying for it.
Yeah, I get a lot of.
I'm gonna cut it off and tell you guys that I love you guys more than anything, and
I love you too. Love you.
You're the best friends a guy could ask for, and I appreciate you doing this and keeping me around all this time. It's been special.
Yeah.
Thanks
for making time, Glenn.
Yeah.
Great
we
job.
we didn't even fight about how you had Brandy, my partner, on the podcast before you had me.
Yeah. Well,
you had her like 3rd episode, didn't you?
No, she was 8. And by the way,
nonetheless,
her
what
episode,
the fuck?
Her episode has outperformed all but 2 people in my entire
I believe it.
thing so far.
But that's because I've listened to it 100 times.
Okay, that's it. It counted every single one of your downloads. That's great. She had a great episode, and she's got so great at social media. I'm not surprised.
Yeah, she has a lot of great shit to say. If you haven't listened to her episode, go back and listen to her episode. She's very really smart and the hardest worker. Yeah,
I agree. Okay, thanks, boys. Appreciate you all.
Guys.
Love you.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Love you.
Thanks for pulling it together, Glenn. Appreciate it.
You bet. Let's talk again real soon.
Okay. Ciao.
Okay. Bye-bye.
See ya.
Hey, I'm Alexi. Stick around for post-fame with me and my dad. Okay, that'll have to do. Oh.
Okay, eventful morning to
Yes.
record post-fame because...
First morning episode.
First morning episode of post-fame, 100%. Live in the car, and not just in our garage, but actually driving you to school and me to work. We're coming out of the gym.
Post-fire alarm.
At 7 a.m. at the gym.
In shambles, my dad.
In shambles, and sans curling iron.
And
so
mascara.
And sans mascara. And all these wonderful things. I did find out, however, from the front desk girl that they were planning to test the fire alarms, but she wasn't told about it by her manager. She looked a little disheveled. Anyhow, and we're coming off of a crazy time too, where you were away for a while in London, Ontario, with school stuff and a cool presentation thing, and so you were a part of this episode from London,
yes,
Ontario, which was kind
from
of
my dingy little hotel.
Super fun pop out in there. And then I was away in like Vancouver for the weekend.
Yes.
Things were all a little bit hectic. You come back, you've written 2 exams.
2 exams.
In 2 days and a presesentation
yes,
today, which is why they must...
Tomorrow now.
Oh, what?
Tomorrow. I just wanted to look pretty today because I have a staff meeting.
Oh, jeez. Oh, I thought you... Okay, I thought the mascara tragedy was because you're also doing a presentation.
Oh, no.
But you just wanted to... Okay. You're just a girl. I get it.
Yeah.
Okay, but so here we are. We arrive on an episode that you and I have talked about for a really long time, which is having the band on to talk about the band experience. And full transparency, I started the idea with really that I think... I was like, we've never like sat down as a band, and I don't know if anybody does, that you sit down years later and be like, what, like, so why did we break up? Or like, what were you thinking about?
Yeah.
Or, and here was the funny, I'm going to give this little nugget first before we talk about it. But after that whole episode, here's what really dawned on me, which is, it doesn't actually feel like we broke up.
Well, yeah, because you're all still so close.
Yeah, and we talked about in there about how, we had gotten asked the question, did you guys make it a conscious decision? Like, did you come to a crossroads versus just kind of decide to just kind of peter out?
Yeah.
And we didn't want to be one of those typical, and there felt like, at least in Edmonton, so many bands that just kind of disappeared, and then they would show up every 2 years and play a gig somewhere, and it just felt irrelevant.
Yeah.
And we didn't want to feel irrelevant, which is why we ended things. Then we did reunion shows, and they were really good and significant for people that really wanted, just to see us again for a while. Anyhow, but in all of that, we used the language that we broke up, and we did in the sense that we weren't just like a relationship. It's not like we were actively together anymore.
Yeah.
Doing the thing that made us the band. But I guess there's just this other layer, which is the 4 of us are always the we pool.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess some people could choose to let that die and not talk to each other again or whatever, but we never let that die. And I'm just going to say that, you saw me while I was editing.
Oh my goodness, yeah.
Like, this was the hardest episode to edit because it was, the longest thing we'd ever recorded.
Mm-hmm.
It was hard to even manage that, but I was laughing so hard, just enjoying it again. And I think I said to you and your mom that, like, if anybody wanted to see what it was like to be
Part
on
of
the
the
inside
band,
of the
yeah.
band, like what it was like to be in the van over and over again, that was the perfect glimpse. That was it. That was the glimpse into the band. I don't know if that's what people wanted or do want, but I'll just say that episode to me was literally the perfection of what it meant when the 4 of us get together.
I love that.
Yeah, it was pretty beautiful. There were like fun answers to some questions. We didn't get to all the questions people wanted. Like, some questions were a little bit silly, and that's fine. And I would have answered them if I didn't realize that we could have gone for 3 hours.
Yeah.
So I didn't. But I just really hope that that's, it's got some things maybe to learn and some insights. And mostly, though, if there's some people that have always been super kind and cared about us as quote unquote fans. And I hope that, I know that for myself as a fan of some bands, like a big fan of some bands, I would take everything I could get from just knowing what the dynamics and what that life was like. And I feel like we actually put a lot in there in this episode. So
I love that.
Yeah, and you got to ask your question.
Yeah.
Which was really fun.
It wasn't really a question, though. It was just like an assumption, and in my head it was happening. So like they didn't really have a choice.
Well, but here's the funny thing, and I don't know how you felt about how the response came out, but it was like pretty stone face. It was almost like an assumption of yes, of course.
Yeah. Well, because I had assumed it was just like a yes, and that was happening in my life. And then Mom's reaction was kind of like, you haven't asked them, like they might be really surprised, or like, they might have no idea. And I was like, oh, like that's a good point. So then I was like, okay, I'll ask. And then I was like literally 50-50 between like, they're gonna just be like, yeah, why are you even asking? Or they're gonna have that kind of big reaction like, oh my goodness, like, you know?
Yeah, I wondered about the big reaction in the sense that they might hear it as I'm getting engaged.
I know, I was like, guys,
and
like,
then I'm
let me
like,
drop the hint that we're not there.
Yeah, absolutely.
Let me get my degree first. Yeah, but no, I found it funny too because I also think it's like so, like the fact that I grew up with all the boys like around, it's just like I asked and it was just like stone-faced like, yeah, of course we care about you, like that's the biggest honor. Like they took it very serious. And I was just like, that's so...
They took it very, very seriously. I mean...
I thought they would like crack a joke or make fun of me, but it was like...
They didn't.
They went dad mode on me.
You're totally right. You did get total... You got dad mode from Rob.
I know, Robb Angus, man. I was like, why am I on Zoom with my 4 dads right now? Like...
That's funny because we did talk about that in the episode where they were like... When we were talking about the beginning at 2005, and they were like, how many kids did you even have at that point? I'm like, Lexi was in the womb.
Yeah.
When we started the band. So you literally...
I'm a product of the band.
You kind of came out with the band, and your entire early years were...
The weak tool.
That's probably because it was my biggest part of my identity.
Yeah.
I can't help but think that you probably grew up just knowing or feeling, I don't know, you can tell me whether like that's what you knew me as. I don't know whether you know how parents look at kids look at their parents with what job they have when you're little and how you associate your parent or something. And I don't know what your association was, whether I was stay-at-home dad or, you know, because I did graphic design and websites and to pay the bills, or whether my whole life was music and band and going to shows and running the record label.
No, it was pretty band dad for like the start of my like memories because I like when you were home, like I didn't know you were like doing your work on your computer, right? Because Kayla and I would hop up on the computer and like put a CD in and watch a show, like right, like I didn't know what you were doing or what you were up to.
I used the term with another recent interview I had where it was like that beautiful oblivion of being a kid, and you don't need to know and you don't care in the most sincere way. So I mean that's totally fine, but yeah, it was very band dad. I remember like we would always leave on our road trips from the driveway. Yeah. Right? You probably, I don't know, you might remember.
I remember them being over because I remember when I was a little bit older, like near the end, there was like one point where all the boys were like in there, and Robb Angus had sat down and colored with me. I just like, this is like some vivid memory I have, but Robb Angus had sat down and colored with me like when you guys were all prepping and stuff, and then you guys left, and then Mom made some comment about me having like a crush on Rob, and then I think for like the next few times I saw him, like whether it be like at the next act or if he was over, whatever, I like didn't want to be near him because I was like, oh my goodness, he knows I have a crush on him. Like, I didn't know what it meant. But no, that's definitely what I remember.
That's kind of funny. I mean, that was probably the McEwen house.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he was like really sweet to you and you really liked it. Mm-hmm. And who doesn't like the attention, right? That's what it is really around when you're a kid, and those guys were all so great with both you and Kale all the time, and I often do remember both the leaving off the driveway and even coming back up and getting dropped off on the driveway, and you guys always coming out, and those are like pretty vivid memories. Mm-hmm. Anyhow, I'm really glad that you got to sort of share in that whole thing. I did find maybe there were a couple of really interesting parts I'll point out. One was when we were talking about how we had a band of no friction, which was really true. Yeah. Like we had a band of guys that
love each other,
started with respect, right? Because you don't know each other so well, and then you're forged into all of that life together. Yeah. And then there's already brothers, so they're like, and just a quick love. But I mean, people who love each other like have conflict all the time, and we didn't, and maybe a bit of it was avoidant, not the best personality version traits, but it didn't really matter because we found a way together. And I just found it interesting that Rob said probably the only problem the band ever might have had was he drank an awful lot in the early days.
Yeah.
And I, in real time, kind of put together how I had a certain version of Rob in my mind that doesn't exist now and hasn't existed for a long time, that I never connected to he drank too much. Because this is the thing about being in music, and I've said this a couple times maybe on the podcast, is that it's a crazy culture where you're just surrounded, you're in bars, at least in that era especially, you're in bars all the time, every night of the week, like everybody's drinking all the time. It's hard to actually pick out who has a problem in any way, right? And you get a little like blinded to, you know, is this someone's personality or is this the alcohol personality? And anyhow, like we had never, again, this is the thing we had never talked about as a band. And then there we talk about it. And the conversation around how and why we ended was also very transparent and vulnerable and honest and kind with one another, which I really, really appreciated. And I guess I'm going to say this one thing, which is I've had to listen to myself interview and talk with a lot of people.
Yeah.
Right? And I like doing it. And I love conversation. But listening back or watching back especially even, I felt like that's a version of myself that I really like. Which says something about being around people that you love.
Yeah.
Yes, which is pretty sweet, right? And then the other one I played for you guys like that, where like the other shocker is like, it always surprised me when Rob all of a sudden is like, yeah, I'd like to play more shows. And then Stephane at the end is like, I guess my parting words is, I don't think that we've seen still the last of the Wee Pool.
Well, I haven't been married yet, so that's true.
Well, besides your wedding band reunion show, where we just play Evergreen on repeat over and over and over. Can you imagine if we just kept playing the same song?
Maybe we'll pick up on it.
Over and over again? I feel like
hilarious.
I'm going to have to go get an Evergreen tattoo with you.
Hey, man, you got a week to decide.
I go, oh, that's it?
Yeah.
Are you going to that person down in our...
In Devon.
neighborhood? Oh, no, that Devon
No,
person.
I don't want to go to that person.
Okay, well, I thought we had nothing to talk about now. It's been 14 minutes, so...
That's what happens.
This is the longest.
And I haven't even watched the episode taken.
Should. You're not supposed to disclose.
Oh, my bad.
Okay, that's all. This is the longest episode ever, but I also think it's such a gooder, and I hope time flies and people love it. So.
Well,
okay.
I can say it's the best or my favorite because I'm not the main host, so I'll say this is my favorite.
Okay, that sounds good to me.
Okay.
Thanks for rolling with it this morning.
Yep.
Okay, bye. Love you.
Bye.